Hello, Scream Demons, and welcome to the Screams from the Basement podcast with Sam and Casey.
This is a bi-weekly horror podcast in which two horror fans discuss all things horror, including news, recent watches, horror collectibles, and more.
Hey, I'm one of your co-hosts. I am Casey.
And I'm Sam.
And let's
get screaming. We're
gonna get screaming in.
We're gonna get screaming in. Yeah. Casey, how are you?
I'm awesome. I am awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. We just put a really great interview in the can.
We sure did, which we'll talk about more later, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that coming up. The first thing I want to talk about, though.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Halloween yet.
No, we haven't.
What did you do on Halloween?
I got sick on Halloween. So I literally stayed home and in my fugue state of falling in and out of sleep, just played an endless array of Halloween specials. Including, I didn't put any of these in my recent watches, so I'll just kind of rattle them off. I watched Charlie Brown, obviously, like the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. It's a great one. I watched the Garfield Halloween special. That's just, it's not as good as the Peanuts ones, but I love Garfield. He's my dude. So I love that one. And then I watched Halloween as Grinch Night for the first time.
Oh, that's a weird movie.
I didn't like it. I was surprised at how much I was like, I don't know what this is.
It's not very good. It is not.
No,
it's not very good.
I didn't quite understand the point of any of it. I don't know. It was weird. I'm glad I watched it finally. It won't be in the rotation. Like, I'll probably watch it again in 7 years when I forget how much I didn't really care for it. But I don't know. It was fine. It was fine, I guess. But yeah, that's what I did on Halloween. And of course, I watched Halloween because you watch Halloween on Halloween.
I'm a terrible person. For the last 2 or 3 years, I have not watched Halloween on Halloween.
Oh, well, that's a bummer.
I also haven't watched A Christmas Story on Christmas, which is usually my Christmas go-to.
Yeah, that's unlike you.
I know.
You always talk about A Christmas Story, especially.
I mean, it's on TBS and TNT or whatever.
Yeah,
it'll be on, but I like to just sit and watch it at least once.
I get that. I did with Halloween this year. I did watch John Carpenter's Halloween, and I believe I even started Halloween 3. But like I said, I was sick. And so I started Halloween 3, and then I think right after the dude gets his face just ripped in the hospital and the guy sets himself on fire. That was about the last thing I remember before I went back into a very deep sleep. So yeah, my Halloween was a little weird this year.
Yeah, our Halloween, I mean, I watched a movie. We watched one movie. That was it. I'll talk about it later because it's a new watch, a recent watch. Actually, a movie set around Halloween time, so it was quite fitting.
Nice.
But our Halloween, in terms of going out, dressing up, doing all that, was the Saturday night before Halloween. We went to the Fozzy concert. With, their lead singer is Chris Jericho, who's in, he's obviously professional wrestler, rock star, podcaster, star of Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
AKA the after credit scene in Terrifier 2, which we'll talk more about later. But we went to Fozzy. We dressed up as Chris Jericho's his alter ego, I guess.
Yeah.
The Painmaker, which he used in Japan quite often when he was over there a couple.
It looks good. It looked good. You and Kayla were all decked out. It was awesome.
Yeah, so they had a costume contest there because it was Halloween weekend, and he picked us as the one of the 3 people to bring up on stage for the contest. We didn't win, unfortunately. That goddamn Chris Jericho didn't pick his own costume to win. No, but it was awesome. Underneath my leather jacket and stuff, I was wearing a Fulci zombie shirt, and he pointed out like Fulci zombie. That's awesome. I was like, Chris Jericho thought my shirt was awesome.
That's great, dude.
A ton of fun. The concert ruled. Fozzie's incredible. We saw Darcy, the male girl, there. Like she was just hanging out in the crowd, like wearing face paint and a costume and stuff. And I'm like, this is the second time I've seen Darcy in Sioux Falls.
That's insane.
And have still not talked to her.
Yeah,
that's one of these days, but
it's a little crazy. You've seen her more than I have, but I've talked to her, not intelligently. But
you talked to her. Yeah,
I talked to her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I met her, I was such a space cadet. I was like, I don't even know what was wrong with me that night. It was just like everything was going above my head.
Yeah, it was weird. Like we were up on stage, and I like looked into the crowd, and I saw her. I'm like, Darcy, the male girl's here in Sioux Falls at the Fozzy concert. Why?
That's insane.
I know, and you were going to go up and talk to her right after the show, but she ducked out backstage or whatever.
Yeah.
One of these days, maybe we'll get Darcy on the show to talk about Evil Bong or something. I don't know.
Oh God, yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
So that was our Halloween celebration.
Rad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, we're 7 minutes into this, Sam. People are filing in at least to watch this live. The reason I'm pumped. I'm always pumped to do the show, but I'm very pumped for the topic of this because the topic for this episode is we're going to tier rank Stephen King adaptations. It's kind of funny how this came about because we were trying to think of ideas for an episode, and both of us were literally like, for some reason, thought of this as the topic without saying it to each other.
Yeah, it was weird. We both kind of said Stephen King at like weirdly the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's because the man's his own genre, and
because Stephen King rules.
Yeah, he does, and we both like. I feel like you and I are both pretty well versed, at least in the movie side of Stephen King.
Oh yeah, I'm a horror. You're definitely more of the literature side of King. I've never read anything from Stephen King. I've barely read anything at all.
Well, I was actually a little surprised at how many King like movie blind spots I had going into this.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I've still seen most of them. It was just, oh wow, yeah, there are some that they weren't on my radar as much, I guess, like because they were either from stories that I just didn't care for, or they were just kind of the lesser known ones. And maybe some of them were lesser known for a reason, and maybe some of them are just diamonds in the rough. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure it out.
Some of them are like great Disney character Aladdin, diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, that we're going to talk about that a little later on, doing the Stephen King tier ranking. We have 25 movies exactly to tier rank. We'll talk about the categories when we get there because they're all King themed.
Dude, you did a great job with the categories. Like, I just shout out to you on that. That was so like, yeah. I was sitting there all day, like after we decided we were going to do fun things with it. And I'm trying, like, I had like a little notepad of like scratched out ideas and stuff. And then you sent me a picture of your mock-up, and I was like, this is better than anything on my piece of shit paper.
Literally looking, I just Googled like Stephen King movie quotes, and all right, which one's going to fit top, bottom, and then fill in the rest in between.
It's perfect. It's really clever. I think people are going to have fun with it when we get to it. So.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a fun one. I think we're going to piss some people off. I know Ken is tuning in right now.
Yeah. Hey, Ken.
From Ken's, is it Ken's King
Ken's
Corner?
King Collection.
Collection. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ken, I hope you chime in when we get to our tier ranking and tell us how we're wrong, because you are the expert and you are going to tell us how it is.
We defer to you. Really, we should have had you on for this.
Tell us in the comments, Ken, what we get right and what we get wrong, and tell us why we should have watched. I don't know. There's some in here we haven't watched.
Yeah, well,
like the Mangler. We've never watched the Mangler, or
never seen the Mangler.
Tell me why I shouldn't have shut off Lawnmower Man after 10 minutes.
There's no reason you shouldn't shut off Lawnmower Man after 10 minutes. No, we're gonna obviously have Ken on eventually to talk some King, because
maybe he'll talk us into doing Lawnmower Man finally.
That's true. You can never be wrong. It is all subjective.
It is, but
I don't know.
especially when I
We're
assume it's going to come to Lawnmower Man. I'm just going to keep bringing that movie up because I could not finish it.
I don't know if I've ever actually finished it. I've definitely started it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I love King.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't consider myself like an expert, but he was like seminal to me growing.
Yeah.
Like I was reading all of his books, you know. Yeah, the Lawnmower Man. Ken is chiming in.
He sued to have his name removed from. Okay, that I would too. I wanted to have
Yeah.
my name removed from clicking play on it.
Right.
All right, Sam. Let's jump into our first segment before we just shit on 10 minutes of Lawnmower Man.
Okay, so Casey, we don't have any Screaming Mad news because neither of us really care about the Ghostbusters trailer.
I mean, I do. I just haven't had. I literally have not had time today to watch it yet.
That's fair. We've had a very busy day. It's been go go go.
Yeah. I'll talk about it next time.
Yeah, I won't. I don't think I'm going to. But it probably looks fine. I don't know. I'll see it in the theater. It's a Ghostbusters movie, but I just don't care enough to seek it out. Yeah. So Casey, no Screaming Mad news. So what have you been doobie doing?
I have a couple recent watches. Actually, I have a purchase first. I'm going to throw out here because it's going on right now. The Criterion sale at Barnes and Noble, 50% off, kind of a big thing for physical media collectors. There was one movie in particular I was like, I need that, but I'm not paying $70 for that. Okay. It's Todd Browning's Freaks, the Unknown, and the Mystic, his Sideshow Shockers 3-pack, 2 silent films, and then Freaks. I've only ever actually seen Freaks. I love Freaks. It is easily my favorite of Todd Browning's work that I've seen. I love it more than Dracula even.
It's a weird movie. Yeah,
it's a weird movie. Love it. It's great. I'm excited to jump into these other ones, especially The Unknown, because Lon Chaney Sr. is the lead in that one. So very excited to jump into this box set.
Yeah. We're going to have a movie night sometime because I'm very interested in that. But yeah,
it'll be a short movie night because I think they're all like an hour.
Yeah, they're all short. They're all like, yeah, that's how movies were back then. They were better.
Let's jump into other recent watches than I have. Well, first up, I mean, we have a lot of crossover, so maybe I'll try to cross the ones off that I know both of us have watched in this time period. First of all, let's get some doobie doing into the doobie doing here. Scooby Doo and the Samurai Sword. I watched that the other night. It's okay. It's fine. Like, it was kind of one of the first.
Witch's Ghost.
No, it's no Witch's Ghost. It's no Zombie Island. It's no Trick or Treat Scooby Doo. You know, it's not. It's kind of the first one I've watched where I've been disappointed. Where I've been like, this is fine. I get it. It's a okay adventure with the Scooby Gang. But again, my rule of Daphne being a very interesting character, it starts off strong, and when she becomes uninteresting and just becomes like damsel in distress Daphne.
Yeah.
It loses all its steam because it starts off where she's like in this karate tournament and she's like kicking ass, and then it just drops that off towards the end.
Yeah.
And like Scooby and Shaggy get the big like hero moment and stuff. At the end, they get a dress up. They're in the samurai outfit, having the sword fight and stuff. But I'm like, no, that's Daphne's moment. You've set her up in the beginning of the movie to be the big heroine, and they don't.
Yeah. It's one that I've seen. I don't remember too much about it. It's not one that I go back to a lot. It's Scooby-Doo, so it's okay. Like everything Scooby-Doo. Okay. Most everything Scooby-Doo is okay. There are a few. One thing's not okay. But
Velma?
Yeah, but for different reasons than most incels on the internet.
That's not even a Scooby-Doo. I mean, that's not really Scooby-Doo. Come on.
Well, yeah, there's no Scooby-Doo in it, so technically.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Other recent watches I have some new releases here. Oh, before we get to those, though, I went to the Terrifier 2 re-release and saw the teaser trailer for Terrifier 3 right after. Did you watch that at all? Has it leaked
Uh,
online? It's leaked online.
it leaked, but I don't want a crappy quality leak to be my first
Yeah.
look at it. I'm really like, I mean, we obviously had planned on going to this together. We had
Yeah.
bought tickets. Your wife filled in for me.
Unfortunately for her. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately for her, and unfortunately for me. I'm very bummed that I missed this, but like, I just still was not feeling well. And honestly, the screening started at 7:30, and that night I was out like a light at 8. So you would have we would have watched the first half hour of this movie together, and then you would have just had to listen to me snore heavily for the next 2 hours. So
I saw it in. So this is my second time watching it all the way through. Both time in the theater.
have I seen this movie more than you?
I've only watched it twice. How many times have you watched Terrifier 2?
I watched it like 3.5 times.
Oh my god. No, I've only watched it twice, and then I popped the Blu-ray in one time and just kind of went through all the fun stuff on it.
I
But
really love it.
it's great. And watching it with the crowd was, I mean, there was probably 15, 20 people there this time. But what's crazy is, again, you get to the bedroom scene in this movie, the infamous bedroom scene in Terrifier 2. And I'm cackling in the back, losing my mind again. And no one else is reacting. And I'm like, am I the madman here? Like, I think this is hilarious. But
yeah, it's sick. It's twisted.
it is sick. It's sick,
but it's also like,
well,
it's so sick and twisted that it circles
when
back
he
around.
shows up
into
with
funny.
like the bleach and salt, I'm like, oh my god, that's hilarious.
It's
That's
really
the thing
funny.
that's the thing about Art the Clown for me, is like, I think he's terrifying.
Yeah, he's genuinely scary.
He's
but
genuinely scary, but he's hilarious.
Yeah, he does it in a really funny
Uh-huh.
way.
Teaser for Terrifier 3. It's a Christmas movie. The teaser is basically like this little girl comes downstairs on Christmas night and sees Santa, laying presents down, and it's Art the Clown instead.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's kind of what I expected when I heard it was a Christmas movie and we're getting a teaser. It's what I expected it to be, but I'm more excited now to watch this movie knowing it's a Christmas slasher movie.
Yeah. Christmas horror, it rules. There's just the nice juxtaposition of the warm, cozy season and terrifying mayhem and blood and guts that I've just always really liked. Like Black Christmas from 1974 is still one of my favorite horror movies just of all time. And it's because it just marries that coziness with sheer terror so well. And I really I don't necessarily know if I get scared at a Terrifier movie, but I definitely get unnerved and grossed out. And I'm really excited to see that kind of thing at play in a typical cheery type of setting. I don't know. I'm a sucker for that, man. It'll be cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll be there opening weekend.
We'll be there opening weekend, barring me not getting sick again.
Yeah. All right, new releases that I watched. I watched this new movie. I think it's on Hulu right now. It's called the Haunting of the Queen Mary, which is directed by Gary Shore, who did a movie I like. I like Dracula Untold. I like that movie.
Oh yeah, I didn't know it was the same guy.
Yeah, sue me, internet. I like that movie. It's better than The Mummy.
That movie is a horror Captain America: The First Avenger, and I kind of love it. Like I really do.
It stars Sam's favorite actress, Alice Eve. Because you forgot her though. So anyway,
I totally did.
So this movie plays with multiple with two different timelines. It deals with like a 1920s, 1930s timeline, and then modern day, and how those intersect on the haunted ship, the Queen Mary. This movie is by no means great. I don't think it's even that good, but it's one of the most interesting horror movies I've seen in a very long time. And that's why I would recommend the Haunting of the Queen Mary. The editing style of this movie, where it goes from modern day to 80, 100 years ago, and then back and forth, is super interesting. It's a great way to stylize the movie. This movie has a great style to it. I think all the performances are great. Alice Eve is great. They have, what I thought was kind of interesting too is she's the main character. Her and her husband are split, but they have this son, and the son is a little person actor. And I was like, oh, That's interesting because not a lot of movies do that. And this kid in this movie is so goddamn cute. And I'm like, I want nothing bad to happen to you. And guess what happens? Something bad happens to him. Spoilers. But it gets you a little bit more invested in the characters that way. Again, I think it's a little sloppy in its execution. But like I said, it's one of the more interesting horror films I've seen in a long time because modern day is like a ghost movie, and then you go back to the 1920s, 1930s, and it's a slasher movie, and you intersect
Oh,
those
okay.
two together. Yeah, I'd recommend it, but yeah, I've seen some people. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. I'm like, no, like it's not that. It's one of the most interesting movies I've seen. It's just not fully there to be something where I'm like, yeah, that's a really good movie. It's more interesting than it is good.
Yeah. Anytime someone says it's the worst movie ever, it's usually hyperbole.
Yeah.
It's usually hyperbole.
I'm glad Ken is chiming in here. Dracula Untold was a
Yes.
good movie. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, you are correct. Another new release. This is the one we watched on Halloween, set around Halloween. It is, I think, on Hulu as well. Cobweb.
Oh, yeah. This has been on my watch list. I didn't know
Yeah.
this is the one you were talking about.
This is one of my favorite horror movies of the year. I
Nice.
loved this movie. It is so much fun. It is not what I expected at all, and I don't want to spoil why.
I was about to say, I've heard it compared to Barbarian in the way that it unfolds, where it kind
Yeah,
of continues to like change what type of movie it is.
yes. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that yeah, Barbarian kind of takes a huge left turn like 20 minutes in. This movie
right.
just progresses every 20 minutes, something like, "Oh,
Okay.
that's okay, that's what's going on. Okay, that's what's going on now." It does a great job of that, and at the end I was not expecting it, and I think it's for the better. Um
Nice.
Again, the performances in this movie are incredible. Lizzie Kaplan is the lead as the mom. She is so good as the like
She's always good.
she is good at just everything. She can kind of do
Everything.
everything too. Like
Yeah.
she's super funny, but also in this movie she's terrifying. Even more terrifying in this movie is Anthony Starr, who's in
Mm.
the boys.
Homelander from The Boys. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think
That dude is
that's
unnerving. Yeah.
oh, and he's the dad in this movie. So
I imagine. So the
yeah.
only thing I've seen of this, I haven't watched a trailer. I haven't watched anything. The only thing I've seen is uh Lizzie Kaplan with the tray and the wide-eyed smile. And I don't even
Hmm.
know the context for it, but I'm like, that visual alone just gives me the like, it kind of sends shivers up my spine. I love
I
Lizzie
think you'll
Kaplan though,
yeah.
so yeah,
I think you're gonna dig this one. This one rules.
I'm excited to
Cobweb.
watch it.
It's gonna be in my top 10 of the year for sure. Like when we do our
Sweet.
top 10 list, it's definitely gonna be there.
Well, that means I have to watch it by the time we
Hmm.
do that episode because it might be in mine too. And even if it isn't, I want to talk about it.
Other new release. Did you watch this one? Did you watch Five Nights at Freddy's?
I did. I watched Five
Okay.
Nights at Freddy's. Yes.
Okay. I think
I
most of these are all crossovers from here on out. But yeah,
yeah, I
would
think
you?
so.
I didn't like Five Nights at Freddy's. I didn't think it was very good. Like I don't think it's
I
bad.
didn't.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
awful, but it's just not interesting. It's not an interesting movie.
it's a movie that kind of forgets, in my opinion. And like the guy who did the game wrote the movie. Like the creator of the game wrote the movie.
Hmm.
So this is clearly the movie he wanted to make. All the more power to him. I just found it a little bit like I was hoping for a movie about killer animatronics, which is what, from, I mean, the little that I've
What the
played.
concept of the game
Yeah,
is?
like
Yeah,
it's the concept of the game. And
yeah.
I feel like we spend so little time with that actual concept in the actual Freddy Fozzie Bears, which when those sequences are in the movie, they're really good. I really like Matthew Lillard in this. He's making the most obvious acting choices you can imagine.
He's
Like
doing
from
Matthew Lillard.
yeah, from the minute from the minute on screen, like you know exactly what his character is,
Hmm.
to the point where you're almost like, no, they're not going to do that, are they? And then they do it, and you're like, well, yeah, obviously. But it's
What's crazy to me, so in the games, and I've only watched a little bit of like other people playing it, is that
Mhm.
there's a sense of urgency when you play those games.
Yes, there's
It's
not a
like
lot in this movie.
there is not. You do
Yeah.
spend, I assume, 5 nights there. They don't
There
make
are
it
five
very clear.
nights. I was
Okay,
counting. I was
okay.
counting.
The
They do
movie was
spend
not.
5 nights. The problem is night one is creepy. Then you have your one killer animatronic sequence that takes place during a day where the
Yeah,
night guard isn't there. And then the next 3 nights kind of just turn into a slice of life movie.
yeah. Like let's
And
hang
then
out
all
with
of
the
a sudden,
animatronics. They're
the
fun.
fifth night, shit hits the fan again. And it just, there was something about it where I'm like, the middle half of this movie kind of, it just changes what it is, essentially. And I wasn't vibing with it. And then it doesn't very gracefully turn back
Mhm.
into what it does in the third act. That
Did
said,
you did you watch Willy's Wonderland?
I have not watched that one yet. I want
Okay,
to.
I haven't either. I've heard mixed things on that one too. I haven't watched the Banana Splits movie either. Like
I've
Killer
seen that one.
Animatronics is
It's
not
fun,
my.
but it's not like,
I don't know. Killer Animatronics it just doesn't do
yeah.
anything for me. I don't know.
I love like so I loved going to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid,
Yeah.
but I'm also a massive Muppets fan. So like puppets don't scare me. Like I love puppets, but they
Hmm.
don't scare me. So like I wasn't even expecting to go into Five Nights at Freddy's and be scared or anything like that. Because obviously too, like this is a PG-13. It's meant for kids. Like, and that's cool.
If
I
I
don't
was a kid, I
know.
would be bored out of my
That's
mind
kind of the
watching
thing is
this
like
movie.
I feel like the middle half is not what a but who am I to say? This movie made a lot of money, and I've heard from a lot of people
Yeah.
that their kids are really liking it. So I don't know. Like maybe we're just old and out of touch, Casey. Maybe we're just
And
old
me,
and out of touch.
yeah. I mean, I this Five Nights at Freddy's is nowhere near like my like thing. I could
Yeah.
care less about it, and I was like, all right, I'll watch the movie. I like Matthew Lillard, Josh Hutcherson's all
Josh
right. Like,
Hutcherson's awesome. Like, and I think he's doing really well in this movie. I just don't really like what he's given to work with.
mhm.
It's too serious. It's too
Yeah,
like it's too serious and dark for what like I don't know.
and it's okay to be
I don't
serious and
feel
dark. It
yeah.
just all those serious moments just drag, and I got to the
Yeah.
point where I'm like, where's these animatronics? Like, let's keep the
Mhm.
plot moving here.
Yeah.
Also, I was laughing out loud anytime the ant character popped up. I was like,
Yeah.
you are the most cartoon thing in this movie. You are so
Yeah.
over the top and just a terrible person because the movie needs a terrible person in it.
Yeah, it's
She
crazy. It's
was the
nuts.
worst. Awful
Although
writing.
like the stuff with her lawyer where like he keeps saying like I shouldn't be here and she just goes
He
sit
was
down.
funny.
Like
Yeah.
that was pretty good. That was a
Yeah.
good gag. Like there are moments of this movie that I really
Yeah.
liked. I think the one big killer animatronic sequence like the ball pit scene and all that. Like that stuff's really good even within the parameters of like PG-13. Like if I'm a kid like that's intense enough to where I'm gonna be like a little creeped out at least or scared. But it's like the one big set piece in the whole movie, really.
Hmm.
And beyond that, there's not one. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I wanted more from it. That's all.
Hmm.
And I didn't get more, and that's fine. A lot of
Yeah.
people are liking it. Go check it out if you like the games,
And
because people who like the games are really liking this movie.
if this means kids who are 12, 13 years old and they love the games and they love this movie and it's like, oh my gosh, what are other movies like this?
Yeah.
Who's this Matthew Lillard guy? What else is he in? Let's go watch Scream. Let's go watch
Yeah.
Scooby Doo. I don't know.
Look, I mean, when I was
Watch
11,
13 Ghosts because he's in it.
or no, maybe 12, I don't know. When Stay Alive came out, that was like one of my favorite movies of all time, man. Like, and Stay Alive, Five Nights at Freddy's runs last on Stay Alive. Like, if we're just objectively speaking, okay?
And
Like,
Sam turned out fine.
but I love Stay Alive and I still do. And it's one of those movies that like got me excited about horror. And so if Five Nights at Freddy's is that for like another little 12-year-old kid, hell yeah, dude. Like I'm glad this movie exists, even if it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. My last three doobie doings here. Emphasis on
Yeah.
the doobie part. These three. Let's go to Full Moon Corner. We should have like a musical cue for every time I bring up Full Moon.
Yeah.
The first one I'm going to talk about, because we have two more movies, and I know you watched both of those. The first one though,
Yes.
I watched was Weed G's Halloween Nights. That's a very hard title to say. It's basically like Stoner Ghoulies. I thought this was movie again set around Halloween. We watched it like a week before Halloween. It's set on Halloween night. There's a big Halloween party at this. It's like it's at a hotel, but it's like an old house. Like I don't know. It doesn't really make sense where it doesn't matter either. Anyway, there's this like almost like gold weed nugget that our main characters are sending all the party goers out on a mission to find this gold nugget because they've left clues all around. And
did they just paint the nugget from another movie that we're going to talk about gold for this?
No, I mean it's not actually. I don't think it was actually gold. It's just a giant nugget.
Oh, okay. But it doesn't talk like or cry or anything?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's different than the other movie. Okay.
Yeah. This movie, I mean, like I said, it's kind of like Ghoulies, but like stoner Ghoulies. There's like a bunch of, they're called Ouija's, and they come out of a Ouija board. Get it? Ouija board.
Clever stuff.
It is clever. It's actually really funny.
Anyway, it sounds funny.
The character design is awesome. They all look really good, especially like modern Full Moon doesn't have the budget of like Empire, like original Ghoulies did.
They still make fun puppets though.
They make really fun
puppets.
They really
do. Yeah.
The puppet work in this movie especially is incredible. I loved it. I thought like this is going to be like on my rotation of Full Moon movies to rewatch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is it's so much fun. It's a ton of fun. There's like character moments where you're like kind of invested in the characters and you're like,
okay.
They set up like the dorky guy who helps these three college girls out. He has a crush on one of them, and like two of the girls like are trying to convince him the entire time to ask her out, but she's like very dismissive and kind of like, I don't know, treats him as a goofball, I guess. But it's like they have a big character moment together towards the end of the movie. Basically, they have to they break a planchette and you have to stab the Ouija with the planchette. So it like returns to the Ouija board. Like, that's a fun concept.
That is.
It's a light, breezy movie. I think it's like a little over an hour 10, hour 20, something like that.
So
definitely recommend it.
Kind of longer for modern Full Moon, too.
Yeah. 75 minutes. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hour 15. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
And then my other two, I know you watched as well. These are both from director Brooks Davis, who Sam and I just did an interview with last Friday. So that is up on our YouTube and Apple and Spotify, out on our channels. Check out our interview with him. We talked about his new movie, Bring Her to Me, which we both watched, had an absolute blast with. This movie is kind of like we said in our interview, like an old school throwback Full Moon movie that feels like, I don't know, kind of like Meridian or Subspecies, where it feels like sleek and dark and sexy and like has this atmosphere and vibe. It feels like a fog movie. I don't know how to describe it any other way. Like there's certain movies where you're like, this is a perfect movie to watch like when it's foggy outside. And Bring Her to Me definitely has that vibe.
It's got a little bit of that like dreariness to it. It's definitely more like full on horror than a lot of Full Moon has been recently, I guess.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of like stoner comedy stuff recently, and like kind of like they've just leaned more into comedy. I feel like
Subspecies is definitely straight up.
Yeah,
horror.
That's fair. So yeah, I don't know. I guess like I really like this too. Partially because like you said, it's a kind of a throwback. I also loved the fact that like there's pretty much just three people in this entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And there's 2 or 3 big locations, and that's it. Like, and I say big, there are just 2 or 3 locations in this whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's very much like we have a small budget. What can we do? We have this many people. We have this
many people. Yeah.
Like, what can we do that's super interesting with this concept? And I think the Brooks nailed it. Like, I think the pacing of this is pretty much perfect. every scene is pushing something forward. It's propelling the story forward. Like it is a movie that I'm like, God, I do like kind of wish was just a little bit longer. And maybe it's just because I really like the vibe of it. And I don't know, I wanted a little bit more time, especially with like our heroine. I think she's really like the not final girl because it's not a slasher, but like our leading lady is incredible in this. She's really good. And especially like in the third act where there's like maybe a little bit more agency to her character and she's like she's not necessarily just letting things happen to her like she is
she's
in
not
the
the
first
damsel
part.
in distress. She's the one leading the charge.
Yeah, there's a little bit, I don't know. I like that. I really like that, and I wish there was maybe like a little bit more of that in particular. But like otherwise, I had a really good time with this movie. This movie kind of rules. Like, I know you said that Full Moon's been like on a bender recently this year, where it's like they've been putting out a lot of stuff. I'm behind on Subspecies. I need to watch Jack Attack, but like I'm excited. I'm excited to check out some of these that you've been recommending because yeah, Bring Her to Me like really ruled. It was cool.
Yeah. Again, there's gonna be at least one, maybe two Full Moon movies in my top 10, and not just because I love the Full Moon, but because like no, they've been knocking it out of the park low key, and no one's looking. And I think people are gonna come around to look at the last, I don't know, 1 or 2 years for sure, if not longer, maybe the last 4 or 5 years, where it's like, oh, they've been low key putting out some like great low budget horror comedies, horror flicks, or thrillers. And I think people will come around to recognize that at least. I hope so.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know.
And
We are.
yeah, I mean they're just they're kind of killing it this year. And I know I'm like pretty new to Full Moon, but like everything I've watched, I haven't loved everything I've watched, but like everything I've watched, I'm like, this is clearly made by people who really love what they're doing. You know, like it's very low budget, but like you can just tell people have fun on these sets.
They just like
you
making
can tell
movies,
that there's just,
and it's
there's a vibe to it, right?
These are the type of movies they love to make, and I think that's why I love Full Moon. Like for like Charlie Band, the guy who runs Full Moon, like that's the movies he likes to make because that's the movies he likes to watch. He likes comedies, he likes horror, he likes fantasy, and it's like that's what I'm gonna make then.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I just you're converting me into a follower of this company.
Yes.
I am now subscribed to Full Moon Features on my Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I am like I'm all in, man. I'm all in.
Also, their app, I don't know how it works on Prime, but like low key, their app is incredible.
So I'm gonna actually go over to the app. I did the Amazon thing for now, but like I want to get a yearly subscription because I really want that Evil Bong box set, dude.
It's worth. I mean, think about it. You pay. I think it's like $60 a year.
It's $60 a year, and it gives you a code that you can redeem for the Evil and the Evil Bong box set is literally
like $120 or something.
Yeah, it's like $120. You're literally getting a box set of, in my opinion, hilarious movies for half price. It's a deal. It's a steal, man. Like I love it. So eventually I'm gonna move over from Amazon Prime to the actual Full Moon Features app. But yeah.
Speaking of that Evil Bong box set. The last movie I have, you watched this as well.
I did.
Brooks's first feature film that he worked on or directed for Full Moon, which is The Ginger Weed Man, a spinoff from the Evil Bong and Ginger Dead Man franchise. I'm behind on both of those series. I should probably catch up on my Evil Bongs and Ginger Dead Man movies. I mean, I don't think it was necessary for me to watch all those before watching this. Yeah, this movie is a ton of fun. It's a stoner comedy, straight up. That's all. That's what this movie is. With the Ginger Weed Man, who I didn't know beforehand, and maybe I should have just looked at the credits. Brooks Davis does the voice for Ginger Weed Man.
And he talks in a British accent.
He
sounds like Boris Karloff.
Like a drunk Boris or stoned Boris Karloff.
A stoned Boris Karloff, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Every time he
It's
used
so
like
much
British
fun. Like,
slang just cracked me up.
yeah. This movie's fun, and I think that's the big thing about the Ginger Weed Man. Is like it's just a
Yeah.
fun movie. Turn your
There's
brain off for 60 minutes and watch it. Like,
there's not even, it's 45 minutes. It's
oh, is it really
literally,
that short?
yeah, it's 45 minutes. It's so breezy. There's a sex scene in it in which, oh God, can I say sex scene on Facebook Live?
You can say
In which,
that. I wouldn't say what happens in that scene though.
no, the term that I used to describe when I was messaging you when I watched it, the
Yeah,
pocket rocking out of
I
the,
probably wouldn't say
yeah,
that.
yeah, no, but there is a part where he plays a woman's butt cheeks like bongos, and they actually have the bongo sound effect, and that sent me, man. Like that literally had me rolling. I couldn't believe it. Oh, this movie is insane. It's incredible. It's like you it's 45 minutes. What are you doing? Go watch it.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I'm sure it's on
It's
their it's on their Tubi channel right now
yeah,
too.
it's on
So
Tubi. That's how I watched it. Was on
okay.
Tubi. So I I don't know why I watched it on Tubi
Yeah,
because
why
I
don't you use
literally
your Amazon?
subscribed to Full Moon. I watched it with ads, but I don't know. I'm not a smart person. But yeah, Gingerweed Man rules. I loved it.
All right, Sam, what else have you been doing besides giggling at the Gingerweed Man?
I've been giggling at Russell Crowe riding around on a little Vespa through Italy. I actually watched this before last episode, and I had a hot take that it was the best Exorcist movie that I'd seen out of the three that I'd watched. Okay, it's not better than Friedkin's Exorcist. That's just me like being an ass. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say I'll probably I have thrown on the Pope's Exorcist more than I will probably ever watch The Exorcist already.
I mean, yeah.
This movie kind of like people did not prepare me for how much I was gonna love The Pope's Exorcist because it's a buddy cop comedy just set in the Catholic Church. Like Russell Crowe isn't an exorcist, he's a cop. He's like, if you have a problem with my methods, you can talk to my boss, the Pope. And like he's throwing down his crucifixes. He's like, I don't need this. I'm going like, okay, he doesn't do all of that. But essentially, like in the sequel, that's probably what's gonna happen.
And the hundreds of sequels they set up at the end of this movie.
Yes, there's so many sequels that they promise, and I hope they deliver on all of them. There's a scene like in the end where him and his like protege, the young priest that he's taking along with him, they're like exchanging crucifixes for some reason. Like I don't know, they're tossing crucifixes back and forth because one works better than the other, and then they have to. I don't know, but like the sound that the crucifixes are making as they're coming in and out of their hands are that of like guns, and it's just the best thing ever. Like I loved this movie. The possessed people in it go from 0 to 60 just like that.
Yeah.
Like the boy gets possessed, and the next scene he's got the under eye circles and he's talking like this and he's saying, bring me the priest, and he's coughing up bloody birds. And this movie's insane. I loved it. There's a We Care a Lot needle drop that's just like the best thing ever. Like, I don't know. We should just do a whole episode on the Pope's Exorcist, dude. I really loved it. It's one of my favorite movies of the year, and I'm not even lying. I totally get why people don't care for this one. It's not a scary movie.
No.
It's very goofy. It's very silly. But yeah, Julius Avery, man, he makes bangers. Overlord ruled, and I was skeptical about Overlord because I don't like war movies, but Overlord was really good. And I don't really like exorcism movies all that much, but I really like the Pope's Exorcist. So that was rad. I watched not the Screambox, the Synapse Films restoration of Trick or Treat, which is now streaming on Screambox.
Mm-hmm.
Casey, did you know that there are people in this movie and not just grain blobs that float through space?
There's actual extras behind all that grainy footage.
holy crap, at the dance sequence, that gym is actually full, dude. No, yeah, this movie rules. The new restoration's really nice. It's, it's a fun little cult classic.
Mhm.
That I mean, we've talked about Trick or Treat a little bit on this show, I think.
We'll do a I
So
mean, we're gonna eventually do a trick or treat and a trick or treat episode, I think, down the road.
yeah. Oh, easily. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
if you
pumped
want to,
to finally watch this with and not just a bootleg
it's great.
version on YouTube.
Well, and the nice thing is too, there are subtitles. So like, and the sound is just clearer too.
Yeah.
So like when the record's playing backwards, I never knew what Sammy Kerr was saying. I'm like, I don't he could be saying anything. This still sounds like to me.
Mhm.
There's subtitles, you can understand him. I'm like, oh my god, the record's actually talking to this kid.
It's just crazy to me that now it's finally happening because even like when I was first really getting into horror, it was like there's
Mhm.
this movie called Trick or Treat with Ozzy Osbourne and Gene
Yeah.
Simmons,
It
and no
was like
one
an
know
urban
it was
legend
like
for
an
so
urban
long.
and I was like, "No, there's not." Like, "What are you talking about?" And it was like
Yeah.
some like straight to video like, "What is this?" And finally when I think you sent me the
Yeah.
YouTube link.
I found a YouTube rip of
Yeah,
it, and I
and
was
I was
like,
like, "Oh my god,
"Hey."
here's that movie that I
Yeah.
thought was, like, literally lost to time, and now there's, like, T-shirts, and I have a sweatshirt
Yeah.
of it, and it's
Mhm.
getting a big Blu-ray release, and it's streaming finally. It's a cool time to be a fan of Sammy Kerr.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, on Screenbox, Trick or Treat is streaming now. Highly recommend that one. I rewatched a Tim Burton one that I think is a little underrated. I rewatched Dark
Alice in
Shadows.
Wonderland? Oh, okay.
No, I rewatched Dark Shadows, and I say
Okay.
this as a I love Tim Burton, and I know, like,
Mhm.
I still haven't even finished Dumbo. Like, I do not like that movie. His Alice in Wonderland,
Boring.
not very good. Like, he's whiffed
Yeah,
more than a few times in this modern era. Let's just be honest. That
most of the
said,
time.
Dark Shadows, not his worst. I like. I've never seen the soap opera that this is based off of, but it's a soap
Oh,
opera, right?
mhm.
So like, I
Yeah, it's a
feel like
soap opera with vampires.
yeah, I feel like he kind of nails that tone in this movie. Like, I really think, I don't know, I think the whole cast is good. I really like Michelle Pfeiffer in this. She's like, kind of just badass. Helena Bonham Carter's really fun. I really hope that they eventually do a sequel where she's the villain because they do the stinger. And I know that's like a soap opera thing too, but like, I don't know.
That's a real life soap opera with her and Tim Burton.
Yeah, that's true. I I don't know. I like this. I really think Eva Green is very good as the villain Angelique in this. She's very creepy, especially in the third act. I
That's probably why there's a soap opera in real life, Sam, because of this movie.
Yeah, probably.
But she's great. I like
She is. She's
yeah.
so good. And like I don't know. I really like the gothic atmosphere of this. There's an Alice Cooper cameo. Like I is it one of his best? No. But I really think like I don't know. I feel like people are way too harsh on this movie because I still have a good time when I watch it. I really do.
I've never
Um,
finished this movie, and maybe I
really,
need to. I again, it was like I'm
I
burnt
mean,
out on
if
Tim Burton with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and
you
Alice
don't
in Wo-
like Charlie and the
I
Chocolate Factory,
hate. I think that's his worst movie by far.
what?
I hate
Oh,
that
dude,
movie.
that's
I hate that
that's
movie.
an insane take.
That
That
is
is an
not an insane take.
insane take.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is probably top
Okay,
10 movie of all time.
next
So
episode we'll be tier ranking
no,
Tim Burton movies. We're gonna fight to the death on this. I can't believe you
oh,
right now,
it's
dude.
I hate that.
What?
You can ask Kayla like right now. She hates that movie
Oh,
too.
oh my
It's
god.
awful. It's an awful movie.
You guys are insane. I love that movie.
I hate it.
I don't
Anyway,
like I don't think it's as good as the original, obviously, but like it's
obviously,
oh god, I don't know.
ugh, ugh,
I can't
ugh,
believe that. That's so
ugh,
crazy to me.
awful.
Okay,
Anyway,
moving
what else
past
you
it.
got?
Moving past it.
We can still be
Um
friends.
we can still be friends. I watched the Mel Brooks movie High Anxiety. It is a spoof on Alfred Hitchcock films, um, starring Mel Brooks himself. also has like just the illustrious and very funny Madeline Kahn. Oh my God, I wish she hadn't died so young. I wish she was in more. I love her every time she pops up in things. And she is the highlight of this movie. She's playing the femme fatale with a goofy side. The only way, like in only a way that Madeline Kahn can play her. This movie is worth it for her performance alone, but it's also really just very funny. It's a little more quaint than most Mel Brooks films are. Like it's not like a whoa, this guy every gag knocks it out of the park, but like
Mm-hmm.
there's just a there's something about Mel Brooks spoof movies that commit to the style of what they're spoofing, and this one very much does that. Like it's a Hitchcock thriller that just happens to be a Mel Brooks
Yeah.
movie.
I mean,
Um,
Young Frankenstein is a Universal monster movie that happens
yes,
to be a Mel Brooks movie, you know?
yeah. I don't know. I actually kind of love this. I think it's very underrated in his filmography because no one talks about this movie. But like it's genuinely a lot of fun. I had a blast with it. Um so yeah, check out High Anxiety because it actually kind of rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing I watched, speaking of movies I had a blast with, we just actually got off of an interview with this filmmaker. I watched Joe Castro's Terror Tunes 4, which is an insane, bonkers, you've never seen anything like this type of movie. It's an anthology that's very much in a heightened reality. It's playing with surrealism, and Terror Tunes 4, like emphasis on the tunes. Like this is a live action cartoon in the best way possible. The gore gags in this are a mile a minute. They're really funny. Like every segment has its strengths. Brink Stevens does a segment that kind of is in the dead center of the movie that is really good, like really good. And we actually learned from Joe that was her directorial debut. She actually filmed that before she even filmed Sorority Babes 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really great segment. It opens with a bee attack movie set to classical music, particularly Flight of the Bumblebee. It's really funny stuff. Like it's really good. And if you listen to our interview with Joe, that'll be dropping next week. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
next Friday.
Next
Week
Friday.
after this one drops on the podcast feed.
Yes. So if you listen to our Joe Castro interview, you will 100% know that this is such a labor of love for him, and he knocked it out of the park. There's some really cool filmmaking techniques on display here, and the movie's just a ball of fun. So if you like weird, zany stuff that you're not gonna find, I mean, at all in the mainstream, this is something that you're gonna want to keep an eye out for. So
We'll talk about this more on the next episode because I will actually finally watch the movie.
yes,
It
you'll
is
have time to watch it. Yeah.
yeah, it's available right now on terrortunes.tv,
Yeah.
terrortunes.tv. So if you want to have time to watch that movie before the interview drops
Yep.
next week, I mean, do so because you and Joe kind of get not you don't get into any spoilers.
We don't
but
do any spoilers.
we
Yeah.
kind of get into the nitty gritty of the filmmaking side of things. So to have
Yeah.
context for that interview, definitely go check that out as I will. And we talked about some of the other work that he's done on The Barn 2, and I talked a little bit about The Mutilator 2, which I'm very excited for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that interview will be dropping soon.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
gonna keep doing interviews, people. We got more
Yeah.
lined up.
We do. We have more lined up.
We
We
have more
love
lined
doing
up.
them. If you're a filmmaker and you have a film and you want to promote it, talk to us. We love having filmmakers on. We love geeking out about movies with them, and yeah, we want to help promote your movie. So
yeah. We've gotten
Absolutely.
literally in like all of our interviews we've done so far, so many great like behind the scenes, especially like
Yeah.
how did you shoot that one thing
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
filmmakers explaining it. The Terror Tunes interview with Joe Castro has that as well. Him explaining how he's done some of his special effects work. So yeah, that'll be dropping next Friday. I don't know what day that is, but next Friday.
Yeah.
Week after this one hits the podcast feed. Anyway,
Sweet.
What else you got, Sam?
That's it. That's what I got.
That's
what
right,
I've been doing. All
I'm
right.
ending the show. Goodbye,
Bye.
everyone. All right. No, let's jump into our main topic then. You all been waiting. Here it is. Stephen King. Woo!
Woo woo!
All right. So we're going to be doing a tier ranking of 25 Stephen King adaptations. Some of these are original works, so I guess not all of them are adaptations. Just Stephen King movies. I think that's a subgenre in horror in and of itself. Like it's just a subgenre. This might be hard to see a little bit, so I'll read through the titles first. How this works for people who have never seen a tier ranking, get off the internet if you've never seen one of these. How this works, so at the top you see the red and then orange, yellow, green, and then blue. I know this is great for audio listeners, but you're gonna have to deal with it. Go to our YouTube channel, watch this episode.
Watch this episode.
At the top in the red, that's like the tippity top, the best of the best. That category is called
They All Float.
So they all float up there instead of down there.
Yeah.
They're
the superior ones that float above the rest.
They float above the rest. The second one we have titled
I'm Your Number One Fan.
Yes.
Which is it's said with more gusto from
Academy Award winner.
Academy Award winner Kathy Bates.
I mean, it's a little creepy. You're not quite like, I guess you're number one, but you're not floating above the rest with that one.
Yeah, it's our A tier.
Yeah. Not Fonzie, the letter A.
Yeah.
A. The right in the middle is a quote from Carrie, actually Carrie White's mother.
Everything isn't a sin.
I mean, everything isn't a sin. Not all movies are bad. That's probably where that's going to fit.
Everything isn't a sin in this movie. There are just a few things that maybe put it down a little bit lower.
Yeah. And in the category right below that, the kind of second from the worst is a quote from our boy Jack Torrance.
All work and no play.
Yeah, I mean it's not the worst, but it's not the best either.
It's the movies that you kind of just sit through because, well, I might as well finish it. Yeah.
And then last but not least, the bottom of the barrel.
Sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah.
That was terrible. That was a terrible Ice 9 Kills.
You tried.
I tried.
All right. So that's our categories. At the top again, they all float. Second is I'm Your Number One Fan. Everything
we have Ken approval.
All right. Sweet. That's yes. Fourth is All Work and No Play, and then the last one is Sometimes Dead is Better. The movies, I'm just going to quickly rattle them off just so everyone knows the 25 movies that we're going to talk about, and then we'll jump into it, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So the 25 movies are these: The Shining, Secret Window, Creepshow, Silver Bullet, 1408, Cat's Eye, Maximum Overdrive, It, the 2017. We'll throw It chapter 1 and 2 together, I think, for that one. Creepshow 2, Sleepwalkers, Thinner, the original Pet Cemetery, the original Carrie, Cujo, Gerald's Game, Christine, the original Children of the Corn, The Boogeyman, Firestarter, Misery, Dr. Sleep, The Mist, Graveyard Shift, Dead Zone, and Needful Things. So to kind of explain how we got to some of these movies, we don't have any TV movies here.
Nope.
We left TV movies and miniseries off of.
Otherwise, Mick Garris would wipe this list.
He would clean house. Him and Tim Curry would.
We
left those off. We left sequels off as well.
Yep.
The only sequel we included was Creepshow 2.
And
Just
Doctor Sleep.
Oh, and Doctor Sleep, because I mean they're different stories. I think that's
Yep.
why we set it apart. We left off Pet Sematary 2 because
It's not really based on a
yeah,
King component. It's an original idea from Mary Lambert.
based
Who-
on the King.
Speaking of Mick Garris, she was just on Mick Garris's podcast. I did not get to that episode today. I
all
can't
right.
wait to listen to that. That's
I
going to
hope
be
they
so
talk
awesome.
about Halloween Town 2 on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they will, probably not, but
I would. Mick is pretty thorough. Mick is
Maybe.
pretty thorough.
maybe. All right.
If you
yeah,
weren't a podcast host, he'd be my favorite.
well, pretty soon he won't be, so I will be your favorite pretty soon, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other parameters do we have? I mean, we left a couple off this list.
Yeah, we did.
And literally, we left them off the list because we haven't.
Neither of us have seen them. Yeah.
I made fun of Lawnmower Man. I left that off the list. There was a couple 1922 and the Tall Grass, the Netflix.
Yeah, I just haven't seen
ones.
those yet.
I haven't seen those yet. Dreamcatcher, I have not watched yet. I think that was kind of it, actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and
of course, I think we have
the Great Lawnmower Man did not make this list.
I think we have a pretty good list that spans like the entirety of King's works and like what. I think this is a solid list. I think we're gonna have movies for every category in this list.
Oh, 100%. I'm a little worried They All Float is gonna fill up pretty fast, but we'll see. I don't know.
I mean, there are a lot of like genuine bangers in this list, you know, but like you don't want to overstack that one because then it loses its meaning. So we're gonna have to choose carefully.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Sleepwalkers, you're not making They All Float. Which way do you want to start? You want to go left to right or right to left?
You know what? Let's just.
Go ahead.
I don't know. You pick. Dealer's choice.
You want to get the big boy out of the way first?
Kind of, yeah.
All right, we'll go left to right then. That's easier. That's how you read.
All right, sounds good. Secret Window, obviously.
Before that, we'll get to before Secret Window. We have a movie called The Shining from 1980, the Stanley Kubrick classic. Sam, do we need to have any discussion on this little movie called The Shining?
I mean, if anybody who is watching or listening to this knows anything about us, they know that, well, hey, especially me, like The Shining is one of my favorite movies of, like, not horror movies. The Shining is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
I love it dearly. I put it at the top of our 80s list. And I think it easily is a They All Float. Like, there's just no doubt in my mind about that.
Even though I disagreed of it being number one on an 80s list, and it was for my own weird idea of what
your
80s
own
horror
mental
movies
hang-ups.
of what 80s horror movies are. I mean, this is one of my favorite horror movies of all time and one of my favorite movies of all time. We literally put this movie on all the time at our house. It's They All Float, and looking at this list, it's the top of They All Float, and I can't think of anything else that's gonna be higher than it. So The Shining going at the top of They All Float.
Radical.
All right, let's move on to your next movie then. Some of these movies I have not seen, and some of these movies you have not seen.
Yes,
so we're going to defer to.
That's fair. You haven't seen Secret Window then?
I've not seen Secret Window, so this is the first one on the list that we will. I will give to you on this movie.
So I just have free reign over where this goes.
I trust you.
That's so dangerous, dude.
I understand that.
Wild takes.
There's at least two movies I know I've seen and you have not. That
yes.
Just letting you know, if Secret Window ends up and They All Float.
It's not. True story. I do have a very soft spot for this movie. It's one of my first, like, I don't even know if it's really horror, but when I was 11, this was horror to me. And it was one of the first VHSs I ever got. I got it when the video store in town closed, and I got it because it was a Stephen King movie, and because it was Johnny Depp, and like I liked Johnny Depp, and I've watched this movie a surprising number of times. I really like this movie, but it is 100% like more of a, I would say, a B or a C even. I like it enough to where I'm gonna put it in everything isn't a sin. I think it's a perfectly fine movie. It's a predictable ending, but it's also got weird performances from Johnny Depp and John Turturro, who's the guy from The Big Lebowski that does
Yeah.
the
Uh,
yeah.
I want to say Toretto, but I'm like, that's
Yeah. So yeah,
John
I mean,
Turturro.
he's very like, he's menacing. He's got a thick hillbilly accent on him,
Okay.
and I don't know. I really, this movie is kind of vibey, and I love it. I like the ending. The ending's weird. It ends on like a really like, oh, that's how they end it. Like, what the hell? And I don't know, but I kind of dig it.
Okay.
So
All right.
everything isn't a sin in this movie. There are good things about it. So
Okay.
there we go.
All right.
Secret
That
Window.
sounds good. Next one up, then we have Creep Show, which is again not 100% Stephen King.
Right.
This is King and George Romero working together on this one. Creep Show for me. God, I don't want to get yelled at already. I like Creep Show a lot.
Yeah, I like Creep Show. I think we're probably close to the same page on this one. I do.
I like Creep Show 2 more.
I agree with that.
Okay. I think some of the segments are a ton of fun in this first Creep Show. I know everyone talks about the Stephen King one where King stars in it. I love it. Yeah, it might be my favorite.
If it was just that segment, this would be in They All Float for Me. I really love that segment. It's so fun.
Meteor shit. Yeah. I like this. I like Creep Show a lot. The one that like throws me off though is the Leslie Nielsen one.
Yeah.
With it's him and Ted Danson, and I'm like, I don't know. It's because again, I think this was before Naked Gun that Creep Show came out, so he's not full like.
Right. He's not Leslie Nielsen as
Leslie
we know
Nielsen.
him. Yes, yeah.
He's still in like serious actor Leslie Nielsen. Obviously, like The Crate is a very like it's a fan favorite segment.
The opening segment to me just falls a little flat. Like it's a really good like closing moment, the like visual of the cake and like all that. But like everything leading up to it, it's kind of, I don't know. Oh, Ken's dropping some facts here. I did not know that.
You didn't know that? Okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Joe Hill is the main he's the kid at the beginning with Tom Atkins.
Okay. I don't know how I ever missed that. I'm not gonna lie, this isn't one that I go back to a whole lot. Like what
are you thinking? What are you thinking? I'm thinking, and everything isn't a sin. That's where I'm.
I think that's perfect. Yeah, it's kind of just a mid-tier King.
Yeah. All right, let's move on then to Silver Bullet.
Oh God,
Stephen King's werewolf movie.
Have you seen this one?
I have seen this. It's been a while, but
I couldn't remember if this is one that you'd seen or not.
Starring one of the Corys, Corey Haim,
and Gary Busey.
He's not crazy. He's a little crazy, but he's not.
He's a little crazy in this movie.
He's not full crazy Busey yet. Corey Haim has like a super powered wheelchair in this, which is awesome.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah.
So I love the werewolf effects. I love religious horror too. So like the scene in the church, the nightmare scene where everybody's turning into a werewolf in the pews and stuff. Like, oh, I love that scene so much. I'm just also a big sucker for werewolf movies.
Yeah, I love werewolf movies too.
For me, like this is honestly an I am your number one fan type of movie for me. Okay. Like I really like Silver Bullet a lot. I find myself going back to this like in recent years, I go back to this almost more than any other King adaptation. I love putting this on in the background. It's just like it's such a solid movie. I just have a good time with it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna. I'll agree with you on that. I have not watched this in a long. It's been quite a few years since I've watched Silver Bullet. I remember liking it a lot. I love werewolf movies. I'm sorry, Kayla. I love Gary Busey.
I love
Corey
Gary Busey. Who
Corey
doesn't
Haim.
love Gary Busey?
Kayla does not like Gary Busey.
What?
Corey Haim might be the better of the two Corys. I don't know.
He
That's up
is.
for debate. Please let us
He
know in the
is.
comments who's the better of the two Corys and why is it Corey Haim? It is. And yeah, let's go with I'm your number one fan. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I feel like that category is going to fill up quite a bit.
Yeah, that's going to be our biggest category.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be a little stingy with the they all float. But I feel like I'm your number one fan. Like, so many of these are like at least A's, dude. Like,
Yeah. I mean, speaking of, I'm going to say it right here. The next one up is 1408. I talked about it, I think, last episode. I had just watched 1408, said I loved it. For me, it'd go in I'm your number one fan. I love this movie.
really?
Yeah, 100%. I thought this was great, especially when I'm thinking of like Stephen King adaptations where it's like, this feels like that's a Stephen King story and no one else could tell. Like, The Shining is also in there of like, yeah, that's a King story. 1408 also fits that for me where it's like, yeah, that's
I have a question for you.
okay.
Are you trying to overcorrect due to recency bias?
No. I gave that a 4 out of 5. Like
Okay. So for me, like this one, I know you didn't watch it until like later, but like when this came out, I don't know if you remember, but like this movie was a thing. Like all of my friends watched this and were like talking, but like we were talking about this movie for like a good 6 months. It's a 5-star banger in my opinion. I love
okay.
this movie, but I will put it down on the I'm your number one fan. For me personally, this
You were
might be a
thinking
they
they all
all float.
float.
Yeah, like legit. I love
Oh wow.
1408. It's one of my favorite King movies. I adore
Okay.
this movie. But
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know if I could get it that high yet.
that's absolutely fair. That's
Yeah.
absolutely fair. I'm very like I'm also very biased when it comes to King. I rate a lot of this stuff higher than it probably is.
Yeah, I have a feeling these bottom two categories here, all work and no play, and sometimes dead is better. We're not gonna have a lot down there. I
Yeah,
really don't
no.
think we're gonna have a lot down there.
I don't think
Uh,
so either.
moving on to a movie we both watched in prep for this. We might
Yeah.
have different opinions on this one. Cat's Eye, another anthology movie. Dare I say the best anthology movie we're going to be talking about today? Cat's
Oh,
Eye.
I disagree with that hard. Oh God.
Oh, I don't.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't say hard, but like it, out of the three that we're talking about, I think this is my least favorite, but it's
Ooh,
still very good.
okay.
It's still very good. I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go into it a little bit because we haven't
Yeah.
talked about it yet. I loved this movie. I thought it was great. I think it's one of the great anthologies. I love
Mm-hmm.
this because like all three stories are very, very different. The first one is James Woods, who's trying to quit smoking and goes to this company that goes to extreme measures, very extreme measures, to make sure he does not smoke that one cigarette.
Oof, yeah. It's paranoid. It's really good
It
at the
is.
paranoid stuff. Yeah.
Yep. The second, so the entire movie is set around this one cat who like is our through line through all three stories in this. I mean, the
Uh-huh.
movie opens with the cat getting chased by Cujo. Christine shows up like at a stop
Mm-hmm.
sign. It's a very Stephen King
Yeah.
movie.
I loved the opening because of all the like little
Yeah.
Easter eggs. I'm like, in a modern movie, this would have pissed me off, but back in the 80s, this feels charming. Like,
It was charming, yeah. Because not every freaking movie did it back then.
yeah, exactly.
The second segment is like a Hitchcock thriller where like this guy is dared to go around the entire
Yeah.
building, like because he's banging this rich guy's wife.
Yeah, that one's messed up. That
That
one's
one is
messed
messed up.
up.
I like
Uh,
that one a lot, though.
It's good. It's my favorite of the three, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no. Never mind. The finale's too good. The
I like
finale's the
all three
best.
for different reasons. I don't know. The finale is great because I was not expecting the finale watching this. I knew nothing going in besides
Oh, I didn't either.
Drew
Yeah.
Barrymore and a cat. And yeah, this last segment is straight up like a child's fantasy come to life.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's awesome. I love this. It has like a kind of has like a Dolls vibe to it, like Stuart Gordon's Dolls
Yeah.
vibe to it. The special effects are incredible.
Yeah, there's like
I
some
was
cool stop motion and like mod like
someone in a suit, but like
yeah.
the sets are really are like really big. Like I don't know how they did it. Like I should look up some behind the scenes on how they shot
I was
the
about to say, I
final
wonder if
scene.
there's like a DVD or Blu-ray release with like a commentary on it because
Yeah.
I would be very interested. Yeah. Yeah, the third story with the troll it's just so fun. And not just because of the special effects, but like I mean, you know me. I'm a cat lover.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm 100% a cat person, and I do like this movie revolving around like the cat.
Yeah.
My only thing is like, and this is dumb, but like I wanted the cat to be a bigger role in the first two. I know that,
I mean,
yeah,
there's it's the through line. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So I don't know. Like the first
What
segment was okay to me.
okay.
The
That might be
second
my
segment,
favorite one. I love that first segment. I don't know
oh
why. It
really?
just had a perfect vibe for me. I don't know. I loved it.
I mean,
I
we
love
kind
James
of,
Woods. I'm not ashamed to say it. I love
I
James Woods.
know, we kind of talked about that. Like
Yeah.
James Woods is a very like talented actor. I think it's just I know the James Woods now, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's so hard for me sometimes to separate like oh, I don't know. Like
All right. What are you
but
thinking on Cat's Eye? Where are you leaning?
I mean, I gave it like 3 or 3.5. I can't
Okay.
remember. So I would say like it's probably closer to Everything Isn't a Sin than All Work and No Play. Um
Oh, okay.
I don't like
I'm
it.
leaning
I
towards I'm your
don't
number
like
one
it as
fan.
much as oh god,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it up that high. But I kind of assumed you were going to.
I'm
I,
okay with Everything Isn't a Sin. Like that feels right.
yeah, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
If it was all about the cat versus the troll and little Drew Barrymore, it
Yeah.
would. I mean, hell, it could even make a They All Float. I have no idea because I really liked that last segment. The
Mm-hmm.
first two were just like, the first one was okay. The second one was a little bit better than okay, and then the third one was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I can't tear myself away from this one. You
Yeah.
know. So
All right. I'm okay with putting Cat's Eye and Everything Isn't a Sin.
Ken also said there's a documentary on YouTube about Cat's Eye making of.
All right.
So
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
have to
have to
watch
check
that.
that out. Yeah.
Pause this podcast. Let's go watch that right now.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have the great Maximum Overdrive.
I rewatched this for this episode.
Yeah. It
It's
is. Is this your? So you rewatched it?
yeah.
Okay. So this movie is
I
so
haven't
weird.
watched it in a
Yeah.
long time. All I remembered was there was a kid who got steamrolled,
Mm-hmm.
Emilio Estevez, the Green Goblin truck, and then someone got hit in the nuts with a can shooting out of the
The vending
thing,
machine. Yeah.
the vending machine. Yeah. That's all. That's all I remembered.
And then
And I watched it about 3 days ago, and that's still really all I can remember.
yeah. Okay. So this Maximum Overdrive is a ton of fun to watch. It's not a good movie.
No,
I dare
I'm
say
gonna scare the hell out of
I'm
you.
gonna scare the hell out of you. Coked out Stephen King doing trailers. Like he should do every Stephen King adaptation should have a coked out Stephen King doing the trailer saying he's gonna
Every
scare the hell out of you.
movie should have a coked out Stephen King.
Paw Patrol, I'm gonna scare the hell out of you. Yeah, this movie is it's pretty bonkers. It's pretty insane. I don't know though. Like, I I can't put it next to Cat's Eye or
I
Creepshow.
know.
Like, I like this movie a lot. It's kind of endlessly rewatchable in a way.
It is.
It's my
It doesn't
favorite.
feel like all work and no play,
Yeah,
but like that's logically where this movie goes on this list. But it's like the best type of all work and no play, if
it's
that
all
makes
work.
any
It's
sense.
all work and play.
Yeah, it's I mean,
It's
let's face it. This one's almost all play and like
no
nothing
work.
works.
Yeah, yeah,
But I really do. I love
yeah. We
Maximum
got to be
Overdrive.
honest.
I had a fun time watching it, but it's not a good
Yeah,
movie. It'd be like if The Room was a Stephen King adaptation. I wouldn't be putting The Room up in I'm Your Number. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you can acknowledge that something isn't necessarily great while also being like this movie still rules, and that's what Maximum Overdrive is.
Yeah. It's
So
Sam, you're gonna hate me for saying this. It's my favorite killer car Stephen King movie. We'll get
oh,
to the other one.
that's fucking bullshit.
We'll, we'll get to the other one later. All
Oh
right.
god. Oh, I'm
All
gonna
right.
kill you. I'm gonna kill you on this episode.
Maximum Overdrive, all work and no play. Moving on to It, the latest one, 2017. It.
Yeah, and we're merging like chapter
Yeah.
2 with this, right?
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because like if I'm being honest, this first like the 2017 just part 1 is like easily They All Float for me. Easily.
Oh, okay.
I love that movie. It is like it was my favorite horror movie of that year. Like it might have been my favorite movie of that year to be honest. The second part, I still like it. I'm an avid defender of it. It's not as good.
No.
And it's
It's the same problem I have with the miniseries, though, is I don't find the adult
yeah.
story interesting as much as I do the kid's story.
Yeah, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. And it's unfortunate because like the cast that they assembled for the adult storyline is so good, but it's just not as compelling. And I think part of it too is like, especially the second movie, you're watching the adults go back and essentially do the same things
Yeah.
that their kid counterparts did in the first part, and it just starts to feel a little repetitive. Especially in the second one. The first one, I've heard people say that about the first one, where it's like, oh, it's just like each kid individually gets scared. And I kind of understand that. But like, I feel like that movie has a bit better of a flow than number 2 does. Because number 2 also awkwardly tries to like add in those like de-aged flashbacks
Yeah.
and things that add like context,
Yeah.
which I'm not a big fan of. I'm like, well,
No,
we
it
already
looks
did the
awful.
kids stuff. Yeah, like we already did the kids stuff. It's not really adding to anything
And
that
what I
we're
don't
doing
understand
here.
is when they did part 2, or when they did part 1, it was It, and then at the end of the movie, It Chapter 1. Okay.
Yeah, so they knew.
They knew.
And
But
you can't
instead
tell
of-
me they didn't know this wasn't going to be a massive hit. You can't
Instead
tell
of
me that.
instead of shooting the kids then when they were that age,
Yeah,
they waited 2 years and digitally de-aged them because they were now teenagers. Like,
yeah.
why didn't you shoot it 2 years ago when you knew you were going to get a sequel? Anyway, I'm going to go when everything is in a sin. I like these.
Yep,
They
I would agree with
have
that.
not. They have not like stuck around in my mind, though. The first
No.
one did, like you. It was one of my favorite horror movies of the year, if not my favorite one. The second one I watched once, and I was like, it didn't do it for me. And then I haven't gone back to the original It as much as I even do like the mini series. I don't know.
See, I don't go back to the miniseries, but I also like I didn't watch the miniseries until I was fully grown. So I think that's part of it. Like I don't have the same attachment to the miniseries that a lot of people do. Even though I really like Tim Curry in that.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, he's incredible in everything. So
all right, let's go to Creepshow 2 then.
I am the number 1 fan of this movie. Okay, maybe not the number one fan. I do
Hmm.
like this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I think this. I think out of the three, this is my favorite of the anthologies that we'll
Okay.
talk about. Um, and I think a large part of that is, I like weirdly enough, that just the three stories are really kind of awesome. Like I think all of them are have their own strengths. I really
Hmm.
like the opening with the wooden Native American. The raft is just a banger.
Might be
Even
the
with the
greatest. The Raft might be the greatest segment of any horror anthology.
yeah, even with the weird like
Creepy vibes.
perverted rapey guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. I mean, that just didn't need to be in there, but
Yeah.
otherwise, like that segment just rips. And then I love the last one with the like hitchhiker that won't die.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's just so
Hmm.
like all of it. And then this is the one. This has an animated wraparound, correct?
Yep.
I was about to say I haven't watched this in a couple of years, but yeah, I remember the animated wraparound just being like so much fun.
Hmm.
That classic like '80s cartoon vibe. Um,
I
yeah,
believe
creep
Tom Savini voices
the the creep the creep
the yeah. Is that what is he just called the Creep? Is that what he is?
maybe yeah I think.
Ken, help us. Is it
Is
the creep? Is it the
it
creeper?
just the creep the creeper? I don't know,
Do the I don't know.
but
Anyway, what are you feeling for this? Yeah, because like I like the first and the last segment. I love the raft. Like I said, I think it might be the greatest segment in any horror anthology.
I mean, I would genuinely put this in I'm your number one fan. I think Creepshow 2 is just an incredible, but it's also like very much,
Yeah, I can't put it. Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't put it above Cat's Eye and It though.
That's fair. I would put it in everything
I
is
think
everything
everything
isn't a
is
sin.
sin.
Yeah. I think that's
Like
fine.
that feels
For
all
me,
right
it's
with me.
definitely on the higher level of that tier, but
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel good about that one there.
yeah,
All right. Then moving on, we got a couple of 90s Stephen Kings here. First
yeah.
up, we got Sleepwalkers. Mick Garris, who Sam shouted out earlier. This is Mick Garris's one of his first, I think,
Can I tell you
in
something?
into the world of Steve. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I don't know if I put this on my list of things that I haven't watched, but I hope you've watched this because this is actually one of the few Mick Garris ones I have not.
Okay.
I own this
Well,
movie. I just haven't watched it, and I was gonna watch it before this, but I didn't get to it. So,
so I have seen Sleepwalkers. This movie is one of the most insane movies you can ever watch.
okay,
It is about incestuous cat people who like try to bring this young girl to like be a sacrifice, and then cats, like it ends with like cats attacking the cat people. It's a weird movie. It is a very weird movie. Mark Hamill's like in the opening scene, like he's a sheriff or a cop in this town. There's literally like a scene with like Stephen King, Toby Hooper, Clive Barker all in like the same scene together. uh
nice.
yeah, it's a weird movie. It is a super weird movie. I like it a lot. It is a great anecdote from Ken here. Sleepwalkers is the only King movie written directly for the screen. There's no book or story that went along with it.
Oh, nice.
So this is this is it. Sleepwalkers. I have I to be fair, I can't put this like next to Creepshow 2 or It or Cat's Eye. It's
That's
right
fair.
next. It's right next to Maximum Overdrive. Like these two movies kind of pair perfectly together for me. Oh, sorry,
Well,
Thinner.
I'm
Not you yet,
very
Thinner. Wait,
excited to check out Sleepwalkers now, just from
yeah,
what you have said.
you're you're gonna love this movie. It is wild. It is a crazy
Okay.
movie.
I
Um,
literally like the DVD
maybe the
is on the
craziest of all
shelf
these.
behind
Yeah,
me. Like
yeah,
I've had the DVD for a couple of years now and I just have not watched it. So,
yeah. Watch this ASAP. You'll love it.
okay.
All right, so that Sleepwalkers goes right next to Maximum Overdrive and All Work and No Play. Next up, we have Thinner.
Have you seen
You haven't
Thinner?
seen? I have seen Thinner. I like this movie. I think I like this movie a lot more than other people do.
Oh, okay. I have not. I have watched this. It has been a very long time. I don't remember a whole lot about this, other than it was pretty good. Like
Yeah,
it was fine. I didn't have any big issues with it. It's not one of my favorite King books, and so I just don't think like when I watched the movie, I was super like invested in it just because it was like the book was fine,
yeah.
and then I ended up feeling that way about the movie. So this is kind of mid tier for me. But if you've seen it more recently, I defer to you because I have not
Where
watched
are
it in
you?
quite some time.
Yeah, I've watched this a couple times. This is I don't know, for some reason this is like a go-to King movie where I'm like if I want to
Okay.
throw on like I don't know, it just has that like 90s vibe that I kind of love in horror and especially
Yeah.
like this also has a vibe. I know you didn't like this movie. Drag Me to Hell. It feels
Oh
very similar
God.
to Thinner. Like they have
Hated
a
that
very
movie.
similar plot to their movie.
Okay, but do they sacrifice a cat in
No,
this
there's no
one?
cat sacrifice in this.
Well, then I'll probably like it okay. I'll
I don't think
probably
there's a
like it
cat
okay.
sacrifice in Sleepwalkers either. So I think you're good there.
Okay.
Stephen King likes cats more than Sam Raimi does, I guess.
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess. Yeah.
Thinner. I like this movie. I think it's goofy. I think it's a little cheesy. It's not great. I would not put it in Sometimes Dead is Better. To me, Sometimes Dead is Better is like, no, you should not watch this, ever watch this. I don't think we're gonna have any movies in that category.
I
But I
don't
think
think so.
Thinner should go right along Sleepwalkers and Maximum Overdrive. Like those all feel like very,
That's about where I
very,
would put it.
very akin to each other, these three movies.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree with
I'm good
that.
with
I agree with
yeah.
that.
Okay. So Thinner goes in, All Work and No Play. Next up, we got some barn burners coming up here, Sam. Next
We
up,
really do.
Pet Cemetery, the OG Pet Cemetery. I gushed about this. I feel like I gushed about this quite a bit on a couple episodes that we've done. This goes and They All Float for me, and I'm not going to take a no for an answer.
Okay. I'm kind of glad you said that. I so like
It's going up there.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this movie. I love Pet Cemetery. I think like it's one of the first King books I read. Like I read Christine first. And shortly after Christine, like I was like, well, what's the next one? And it was either this one or Salem's Lot that I read next. But those were like my first three King books. And Pet Cemetery just like it messed me up on a different level than those other
Mm-hmm.
two did. And this movie isn't necessarily like as harrowing, I think, as that book is, but like its strengths lie in how fucking weird it is. Like Mary
Yes.
Lambert adds like she was this is something kind of new for her. She had done music videos before
Mm-hmm.
this movie, and like she adds that kind of music video flair. There's a lot of elaborate like set design and things like that. The makeup work is incredible. Like this movie is
It's a
it's one
barn
of the
burner.
most yeah, it is. And it's one of the most unique King adaptations, I think.
This movie is relentlessly entertaining. It
Yeah.
is well acted. The drama is spot on, perfect. You're invested in everything that's happening, even the weird, kooky stuff that happens.
Hmm. And it's
Was
brutal,
yeah,
man.
it's brutal. The ending, like all timer, has a effing Ramon song at the end. Yeah,
Yep.
this movie rules.
I mean, the shot, the one shot that just gets me in this movie, the shot that says it all, is right after Gage gets hit by the truck and you just see the bloody sneaker tumbling down the road. Like that is such a gut punch.
Oh,
That's
for me,
just like,
it's the scene that follows at the funeral
oh, that's tough too. Yeah.
with the grandpa at the funeral and the casket
Yeah.
falling over. Yeah, this movie rules. Love it.
Oh,
Let's catch up on some Ken comments here. Ken says Thinner is a guilty pleasure. Yeah, it is maybe the
I'll have to,
definition
I'm
of
gonna
guilty
revisit
pleasure.
Thinner after this. This is I'm intrigued.
Ken also chimes in with Pet Cemetery is Pinnacle King movies from his classic period.
Yeah,
Yes, this movie
agreed.
rules.
100%. And I like the remake. I know more than most people. But I don't think it comes close to touching
No,
this one. I
no.
really don't.
All right, let's go to Brian De Palma's Carrie.
They all
Oh,
float.
yeah,
I mean, that's like
yeah.
To me,
There was
like
three movies
what?
there was three movies that I was like are going to be and they all float, and everything else can fall where it's going to fall.
Yep.
It's the three movies we have in the top right now: The Shining, Carrie, and Carrie.
Yeah. A Carrie to me, like I don't even know how to describe what Carrie means to me. Like this book and this movie, like growing up in a growing up with religion and growing up there's just something about this book that just has a very truthful impact to religious fanaticism that I think De Palma carries over just brilliantly in his movie.
Mm-hmm.
And now the late Piper Laurie, God, like rest in peace. That woman, she nailed her performance as Margaret White in this. This is one of the first movies to genuinely just scare the living shit out of me. And it's the shot of her going down the stairwell with the knife with that huge smile on her face. Like I could not sleep after watching this movie. Her and Sissy Spacek both are just putting in like these performances. They were both nominated for Oscars for a horror movie. Do you know how fucking good you have to be nominated for a, I adore this movie. So I'm really glad that you agree that it's in the top tier.
Yeah, it's easily they all float. We did an episode on this with Ken was on this episode.
We did for Backlot, right? Yeah.
Like I said there's only one scene I don't like in Carrie. And it's the scene where they're like shopping for tuxedos for the prom.
Fast forward edit.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the one thing I don't like, and I'm like, De Palma, what are you doing here? What are we doing? This seems amateur, and you're Brian De Palma. Come on.
Did you see Ken's comment about the remake?
I'm not addressing it.
He loves the original, but he thinks the 2013 remake is underrated. I am proposing that we bring Ken on because I don't think I don't like. I shouldn't say I don't like it. I hate that they basically use the same script, but I really want to talk. I want to pick Ken's brain about this. This is insane to me. I love that. That's such a like. I've never heard that from anybody, and I want to know more, Ken. I want to know more. I really do.
Ken, expect a DM after this, asking you about Chloe Grace Moretz's Carrie.
Let's go to the next movie.
Let's go to the next one. We talked about Stephen King's cats. Let's talk about Stephen King's dog, Cujo.
Yes, another one I have not watched in a very long time.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
I agree that Julianne Moore was fantastic in that movie, Ken. Sorry, I'm still looking at the comments.
We're talking about Cujo. So, come on, Sam. We're talking about the killer dog, Dee Wallace. Everything
Cujo
is
a
innocent. Like,
very good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay. I'm glad I don't have to explain myself. I like this movie.
Yeah.
I don't love it. Like it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like kind of middle of the road King for me. I like Dee Wallace is incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah, it's an iconic movie. I mean, everybody knows Cujo. Everybody knows about the killer dog movie.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows about Dee Wallace and the kid in the car. And yeah, I think this movie it's perfect for what it is. Like, I would not put it against like Thinner and Sleepwalkers and Maximum Overdrive. It's better than those for sure.
Oh,
but it's not.
Easily, yeah.
It doesn't reach that next level King.
No.
Like some of the other ones we've put above it have. So yeah, I'm okay with Cujo when everything is innocent.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Ken, you were right. Cujo was a good boy. His dog or his owners were the monsters. That's true.
Yeah, screw those people.
All right, Sam. Let's go to our first and only Flanagan on here. No, we have two.
We have
sorry,
two.
we have two. We have two Flanagans. His first step into King with Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game, what are you feeling for Gerald's Game? Our first Flanagan. Why are we putting it? I'm your number one fan.
I'm glad you said that. Okay. For one thing,
I'm just giving spoilers where I want these things, Sam.
This movie to me is like the first time I watched it, I fell asleep, right? Fell asleep, woke up right as the degloving scene was happening. Holy hell, that was a rough wake up. Holy hell, was that a rough wake up? Like, I was like, no. It was, but Gerald's Game is also a very early King read for me. I borrowed it from my grandpa. It was a little erotic. It was a little sexy. It was a little dangerous. And it was also very harrowing. The erotic sexiness ends pretty quickly. And you're left with like a lot of heavy stuff, but it's also very internal. It's a very internal book. And when they announced that Mike Flanagan was going to make Gerald's Game, I'm like, well, that movie's going to suck because there's no way to film that. There's just no way. Like, you don't.
It's the unfilmable King adaptation.
And God damn it, you know how you get around that? You hire Mike Flanagan to write and direct the adaptation. You hire Carla Gugino to play the main character. You hire Bruce Greenwood to play Gerald, and then you let them run with it. And oh God, this movie's insane. Like, it should not work the way it does. And it plays like gangbusters. I can't believe Flanagan pulled this off. I think the only movie, not counting his miniseries, because I feel like all of those are just on a completely different level. But if we're talking like his feature films, there's only one, in my opinion, that has topped what he was able to do with Gerald's Game. I cannot believe this movie works the way that it does. We'll talk about.
I was going to say, I have a feeling we're going to talk about that other movie later.
Yes, we will. So yes, I am your number one fan. Gerald's Game, absolutely. What do you think of this movie? I don't think we've ever talked about this one.
I've only seen it the one time, like right when it dropped on Netflix. And this is before Flanagan had done Haunting of Hill House. He was still pretty relatively unknown, I think, at that time.
I knew him because of Hush, which is why I was Flanagan? Like, no, this would have been my second. My first was Hush, for sure. And then I remember, because I remember hearing like, oh, the guy who did Hush is doing Gerald's Game. And I thought, well, Hush was good, but there's no way to do Gerald's Game. And then I think after this, I sought out his other stuff. Like, I watched like Ouija, Origin of Evil, Absentia, Oculus.
We should do a Flanagan episode. I was on the Flanagan train from Oculus. I saw that in the theater, and I was like, "This is
you
incredible."
Saw that in the theater?
Yeah.
Jealous, dude. Yeah. That movie rules.
That movie does rule, and I was on from like Origin of Evil. I was like, okay, the guy who made Oculus is making Ouija movie, sweet. And then now we get to his King adaptations, and he's kind of become the king, no pun intended, king of horror nowadays. Yeah, Gerald's Game rules. I've seen it the one time. It's stuck with me. It's Mike Flanagan is the Stephen King of horror directors. I think he just understands the genre and understands characters in that genre. And this is a prime example of those two coming together perfectly.
Absolutely.
I don't think anyone else understands King as much as Flanagan does. Like, if Flanagan could do all of these movies that we're talking about today, like, they'd all be in They All Float. They just would be.
Yep. Easily.
If Flanagan would remake Sleepwalkers, I'm putting it in They All Float.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're about halfway through this. I did not plan this for us to end up on this movie halfway through it where we throw fists, because we were talking about We're talking John Carpenter's Christine.
Oh my god.
I'll let you take the floor.
So, I mean, I cannot, and I mean, I cannot understate what this book and this movie mean to me in my horror journey. It is my all-time favorite book. I love Christine. I love this movie. It's not my favorite Carpenter. I think he's done better works. But I also think that Christine is still like an exceptional point in his career. I love this movie. I think Keith Gordon is giving one of the best performances in a horror movie. Like maybe one of my favorite of all time, to be honest. Like Keith Gordon in this movie is just operating on a different level. He knows what movie he's in. He genuinely makes you believe he wants that car. And like I don't know. I love this. I'm aware that it is not going to go and They All Float, so I am going to propose that it goes up in I Am Your Number One Fan. I know that you have different feelings about this movie, but I am here to tell you that you're fucking crazy.
I've made it no secret that I don't love Christine. I like Christine. I think it's a good movie. It wouldn't be in my top 5 Carpenter. It wouldn't be in my top 5 King. Carpenter scores, maybe that's a different story. That's definitely a different story.
Dude,
the score in this movie is incredible. Might be my favorite Carpenter score, actually.
It's like he lit a synth on fire and then just held up a mic to it. God, it's incredible.
I don't love Keith Gordon in this movie.
Well, that's just insane.
I just don't. And he's kind of the reason I don't love this movie.
Well, that's absolutely.
I know. For me, I would put it in Everything Isn't a Sin. Like this and Cujo kind of go hand in hand almost for me in terms of my enjoyment for them, I guess, in different ways for those movies. But I know for you, it'd go and They All Float. I think it should go and I'm Your Number One Fan, though.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you meeting me halfway.
That's okay, because I hope you at least meet me halfway with this next one.
I'll meet you halfway on this one.
The next one, Children of the Corn. We did a whole episode on this one. Let's just put it where we think it needs to go. For me, I would put it in Everything Isn't a Sin. Like, I think it's better than. I don't know if it's better than those other 3 Maximum Overdrive.
I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised it's that low for you, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I would Cujo, Christine, and Children of the Corn. Like, I feel like those 3 for me kind of fit into that middle ground perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, my personal bias with Christine aside, I would agree with that. Yes.
So Everything Isn't a Sin for Children of the Corn.
Yep, I'm good with that. Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest would be a They All Float.
I mean, it's a banger.
It's incredible. Also, you know what? I'm going to say it. Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice, would be an I'm Your Number One Fan for the wheelchair scene alone.
The wheelchair scene is tippity top. That goes in They All Float.
It's so good.
All right, let's go to, I know these next 2, we have some that I've seen and you have not seen here.
Yes.
So this is new release right here. The Boogeyman just came out this year. Directed by Rob Savage, based on the short film or short story that of King's. I haven't talked about this, I guess, at all. This movie's okay. It's fine. It's not great. It starts off promising. The third act, it kind of just loses steam, I guess, about 45 minutes into it and never catches back up. I think
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is Des Malchin in it a lot, and is he very good?
No. He's great. I mean, he's great in everything.
Incredible. I shouldn't have had a part B to that because I knew the answer to part B. He's incredible, but he's not in it a whole lot.
He's in like one scene.
Oh, that kind of that
Yeah.
bums me out a little bit. I really, oh God, the more David Desmalchin we can get in horror,
Yeah. Sophie Thatcher is great. She's
she's a star,
she's
dude.
a star.
She's
The mo-
incredible.
yeah, the movie's fine. I would put it in all work and no play. It's not. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not great, and for very different reasons than these other three that are in all work and no play. This
Yeah.
one seems a little. This one's a little bit more appropriate for the title "All Work and No Play." I'll just put it that way.
That's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah. All right, let's move on then. Another Drew Barrymore movie in here, Firestarter. I
Yes.
have not seen the original Firestarter. Sam, you have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is this the original or the remake? This is the original
OG.
we're talking about?
Yeah.
OG?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this one in all work and no play.
Okay.
And it's not a terrible movie. Drew Barrymore is, I mean, she's she's not bad in it. George C. Scott has like a ponytail and an eye patch, but he's
Oh my
playing
God!
like
How have I not seen this movie then?
I like, and all of these pieces sound so much more intriguing than what the movie ends up being. Like it's fine, but like part of it feels like part of it feels like they were remaking The Fury, but without any of the intrigue or like, yeah. It feels a little bit like a low
Yeah.
rent, a low rent like The Fury to me.
Mhm. Yeah, and The
Which
Fury feels like a King movie without any King
yeah,
involvement. You know.
it does. So I don't know. Like this one's fine.
Okay.
The remake is even worse somehow.
Oh no.
Like
Sorry, Zac Efron.
when I watched the remake, I legitimately did not. I mean, it has a Carpenter score. There was no way I was expecting to finish the remake and be like, nah, the '84 Firestarter was better. But here we are.
Yeah, I've not
So
heard any good things about the remake.
the remake is like, it's kind of just baffling. I don't
Oh
know what
no.
they were
Oh
thinking
no.
with it. Like,
All right. Next up we have Misery.
oh, okay,
Kath,
so
yeah. What are you
this
what are you
one's
what are you feeling about Misery, Sam?
this one's so tough because honestly, this probably belongs in They All Float. It's
Okay.
got an iconic Kathy Bates performance. I
Yep.
remember the first time I watched this movie, it rattled my sphincter. Like, I got up and I realized like I have to pee and poop, and like I didn't realize it until I was just shaking the whole way to the toilet. This is this is an overshare, but it's this
His
movie like this movie
Sam's sphincter was
rattled me.
rattled. Yeah.
This movie rattled me so hard. And here's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is one more movie after this that
Mm-hmm.
I also think deserves to be in the top tier.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know
And
which movie that is, actually. Maybe I do.
you probably do.
Okay, so I think I do too. And
Yeah.
maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag already. A lot of cat references in this episode.
Yes.
I also think Misery should end up in They All Float. I think it
Okay.
is one of the great Stephen King adaptations. The only one to win an Academy Award. Kathy Bates won for Best
Mhm.
Actress or Supporting Actress, one of the two.
Yes.
James
Deservedly
Caan
so. She's
is
incredible.
James
Oh.
Caan is incredible too. I mean, it's one of the most
Mhm.
iconic movies out of his filmography, out of his books.
The hobbling scene, like
Yeah,
when
he didn't get
when
out
you
of the
talk
cock-a-doodle
about
car.
when you talk about like King directors, obviously Darabont comes up a lot because Green
Yeah,
Mile, Shawshank, The Mist, which we'll be ranking soon, um, and people talk now about Flanagan. People like I know Reiner only had, I think to my knowledge, two: Stand by Me and Misery. But I'm
I
like,
mean.
Dude,
That's a pretty good.
what better two could you ask for?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he nailed both of those movies,
Yeah.
and I don't think he gets nearly enough credit for being one of the best King directors.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think Misery 100% deserves
They
They
all
All
float.
Float. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm good with that. Yeah. I guess we didn't say this beforehand. I guess if you're listening or watching, and we've already named off all the movies, we're not throwing in the non-horror adaptations like Stand by Me and Green Mile and Shawshank.
Right.
Granted,
We're
I think
focusing on the
most of those.
horror.
Yeah, we're a horror pie. Anyway,
Yeah.
those would all probably end up in They All Float. I think. Actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right, let's get to I don't know which one of these two it is that ends up in They All Float for you. But next up on the list for us, Doctor Sleep.
Both of them could be, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see where you would be confused. Spoiler alert, Doctor Sleep is the one that I think deserves They All Float.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna take it you don't like this movie as much.
No, this movie absolutely belongs in They All Float.
Oh,
I love
thank
this.
God.
I love this movie. Yeah.
Okay, so
Again,
when I was
it is.
again,
We watched this movie together without knowing we watched this movie together.
We did. I think we also were at the same screening of The Shining about 2 weeks before this opened.
Oh, that's yeah.
Did you,
I mean, yeah.
Did you go to the 4K one and then go opening night to Doctor Sleep?
I think so. I don't remember.
Yeah. I feel like you, Blake, and I were talking, and like we found out that we were at the same screening for The Shining, and then probably the same screening for Doctor Sleep later.
Yeah.
Before we'd even met.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. That's what it was. Because me and Blake went to The Shining.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And you were there too. And then I think you and I figured out we were at Doctor Sleep at the same time. One of like 8 people there.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie absolutely.
I ended up seeing this movie 3 times in the theater, which I don't do anymore.
You somehow saw it 3 times the 2 weeks it was in theaters in Sioux Falls.
I did. I saw it twice opening weekends. I couldn't help myself. I loved it. For Flanagan to take a movie that King does not like, based on one of King's most popular novels, one of his best, according to most people, not me, but one of his best, and then to take the sequel to that book, which is definitely not one of his best works, and not only make something that stays true to that book, that stays true to the original Shining book, and somehow manages to reconcile the Stanley Kubrick thing, it tops anything he's done in film, in feature film, including Gerald's Game, which was already an insane feat in and of itself. But Doctor Sleep is just on another level. And the ending of this movie hits me so freaking hard every goddamn time I watch it. Like, it just does not lose its punch. There's a director's cut of this that is over 3 hours long, and it flies by like it's an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I love this movie.
This movie is relentlessly entertaining. Like you said, it somehow is the perfect sequel to Kubrick's The Shining. It is from what I understand, obviously I have not read Doctor Sleep, the book. It is it's an adaptation that probably is better, from what I have heard.
It improves on the book. It genuinely does.
Yeah. And somehow is also a sequel to the Shining book as well. And he somehow melds all 3 of those things together and do this perfect amalgamation of the Doctor Sleep story. It is Ewan McGregor is great.
Rebecca Ferguson is Rose the Hat. Just like
we were talking about, Academy Award nominations. The 2 movies right next to it, Carrie and Misery, have great female lead performances. Rose the Hat, Rebecca Ferguson should have been nominated for supporting actress for Doctor Sleep. Rose 100%. The Hat is one of the most iconic King characters of all time now.
Yep.
Incredible in this movie. The Jacob Tremblay scene, where his one scene he gets in this movie, like, oh my God. It's like, I was not expecting that.
I don't remember what podcast it is, but Mike Flanagan was on a podcast talking about filming that scene and how, like,
Might have been on
Jacob,
Mick. I think it was on Mick
I think
Garrison.
it was on Mick Garris's,
Yeah.
but he was talking about how Jacob like just brought it, and none of the actors who were playing in the True Knot were expecting him to commit and be like as devastating as he was.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's like, you know, and then like Ewan and Cliff roll into the set later, like as we're wrapping on that, and Jacob's already left, and everybody is just a mess. And Ewan apparently asked Rebecca Ferguson how it went, and Rebecca Ferguson just went, "I don't want to fucking talk about it." And I'm just like, that's the greatest thing ever. Like, he's like, so you like, apparently when you see the reactions, they filmed all of that later because none of them could not cry with
Oh,
Tremblay on set. Like, I can't believe that.
yeah.
That's insane. Tremblay, like Jacob Tremblay is like one of our best child actors right
Mm-hmm.
now. And like that kid is a thespian. Like, holy crap, is he good in everything? Even movies I do not like Good Boys. He is consistently good in that shit. Like,
I'm glad we both agree on Good Boys not being a good movie.
yeah, it's not
Uh,
very good, but he's really good in it.
he's good in it, yeah. Ken chiming in here with Dr. Sleep is awesome, and the way it ties it all together, chef's kiss.
Yes.
We agree. All right, we have an interesting final four here.
Yeah, we do.
Three
I
of
have
the
a
final
question.
four. Okay, go ahead.
Did you have not watched The Mist yet?
No,
Is that correct?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, do you know about the ending?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the reason I haven't watched it. I'm like, I gotta be in the right mood.
Yeah.
I know how I'm gonna feel at the end of it, and I'm like,
it's dark as shit. Yeah.
yeah. When I watched one of the movies we'll talk about in a second, Needful Things and Cat's Eye. I'm like, I was definitely more in a mood for those than I would be for The Mist. Yeah.
I get that. I actually just picked up the 2-disc Blu-ray from Last Stop this week with the black and white version. I'm pretty pumped.
All right, I'm leaving these next three up to you, Sam. The Mist, first of all. Where are you putting The Mist?
I'm gonna put The Mist. I'm gonna put it at I'm your number one fan, just because I don't want to overcrowd the They All Float territory. But this is like, this is the highest level you can get, and I'm your number one fan without being a They All Float. I really love The Mist. Marcia Gay Harden, who plays Miss Carmody in this, the religious fanatic that sweeps up, the like essentially starts like a cult as the supermarket is overrun by a giant mist and monsters. Like, she's so good. Speaking of like people, performances in King movies that should have been nominated for Oscars, she's one of them. Like, she's incredible in this movie. The creature effects are awesome. And honestly, dude, when you do watch this, borrow the Blu-ray from me, watch it in black and white. It's such a different experience. It's what Darabont originally wanted. They wouldn't let him do it, but they let him do it they let him convert it to black and white for the home media release. And it's so good. It's so good. I adore The Mist. I agree, Ken. The holy trinity of King movies being The Mist, Shawshank, and Green Mile, with Frank Darabont. Like, yeah, he should 100% make a comeback to King territory, because every time he does, he knocks it out of the park. So him and King collaborate really well. I would like to see more. Yeah, absolutely. So,
all right. Next two, then we have Graveyard Shift.
Okay, so Graveyard Shift I watched a long time ago. So back in high school, we had an assignment where we had to basically extend Stephen King's Graveyard Shift, like the title story, which this movie is based on, about the rat, like a mill where that's infested with rats, and they go down in the basement and there's a giant rat monster and all this, And I wrote something really gory and disgusting, that surprisingly got me a better grade than I was expecting for writing something gory and disgusting. I remember that vividly. And I was like so enamored with the story that I decided to watch the movie. I did not like the movie very much. I went to revisit the movie for this episode, and I made it about a half an hour in before I was like, I'm just not vibing with this. I'm
Are we doing it? Are we getting
I'm
one?
gonna put this in Sometimes Dead is Better. I don't like this movie. Okay, Casey, you know me. You know my personal biases. You know I hate animal violence in movies.
Yeah.
This movie opens with a dude throwing a rat into like a mill that like chews it up essentially and puts him out in thread. Which like, the other rats get revenge by then, throwing the guy in there, and that's like the cold open of this movie. But it's like too little too late. And also I lost my little buddy Ralph, and I was just looking for rats eating people, not the other way around. And I don't know. And then the movie is just kind of boring. Like Brad Dourif is in this, and like he's being Brad Dourif, and he's entertaining to watch, but it's not good. I couldn't finish it, so I don't know. Sometimes Dead is better.
I'm gonna go off on a weird tangent for a second, because that just reminded me of like a movie I've been recommending to you for literally forever. Heavyweights.
Oh yeah.
I guess there's a trigger warning in Heavyweights when you watch that.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is it? Do they eat a mouse?
Yeah.
What?
It's played. I mean, it's not a real rat, but it's played for comedy of like, this is what we've been going through at our fat camp. They don't give us enough food, so I have to resort to eating a rat, and it shows them eating a rat.
Oh my god. Okay, I mean that's kind of funny.
It's fun. It's fun.
They
make a joke about it in the movie too.
Okay,
anyway, just I guess trigger warning for Heavyweights
for when I watch Heavyweights.
Yeah,
dude. Okay,
Heavyweights. The
day I asked in the group chat, does anybody have any comfort movies that I could watch tonight because I'm having a hard day? That was the day that Ralph died. I am so glad I did not watch Heavyweights that day.
Good thing you did not watch Heavyweights, and I didn't give you the trigger warning for Disney's
that would have sucked.
All right, well, let's go to the next one then, Sam. This one's all up to you. Dead Zone. David Cronenberg, correct?
Yes, David Cronenberg. Weirdly does not feel very Cronenberg-like. There's not a lot of gore or anything. It's a horror movie. I hesitate to call it full-on horror. Like when you think David Cronenberg horror, this is not what you think of.
Yeah, there's a certain
it's more of a it's kind of a political thriller with some supernatural elements to it, right?
Okay.
And it's got iconic stuff, Chris Walken yelling, "The ice is gonna break," all that stuff
is gonna break.
This movie is it's different than anything else on this list, but it's also really good. I'm debating between Everything Isn't a Sin and I'm Your Number One Fan. I just think it belongs more in the way of I'm Your Number One Fan than Everything Isn't a Sin. But I think quality-wise, it sits somewhere in between those tiers.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Okay.
So I'm going
to solve that, does it fit more in the vibe of the movies we have in these categories? I don't know if
I would say yes.
Yeah. Which category?
If you're looking at categories, it definitely vibes more with the I'm Your Number One Fan, because there's a lot to love in this movie. Like I said, Christopher Walken's really good in this. The plot is weird. It goes from one thing to another. The movie's constantly kind of changing what it's about as Christopher Walken kind of experiences these things. But
surprised I haven't watched this yet. I almost said I haven't walked this yet, but I haven't watched it yet. I love.
I feel like you would. I feel like you would like it. It's
Mhm.
definitely different, but it's it's like Cronenberg doing Supernatural De Palma.
Okay.
That's the best way I can describe it.
Hmm. The
So in
ice
yeah,
is going to break.
it's good.
All right.
It's really good. So
All right. Cool. Dead Zone. Then the last one, I've seen this. You correct me if I'm wrong. You have not seen this last movie,
I
Needful
have
Things.
not. I don't
Okay.
like the book though. I don't like the
Okay.
book at all.
So yeah, we watched this because Kayla had read the book.
Okay.
I don't think she thought anything different. Like
It's
she's
just
kind of
not one of his
indifferent to it. Yeah.
best. It's kind of
Um,
boring.
yeah. So is the movie. This is, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is our only Castle Rock movie. Correct?
I
Maybe
believe
Ken can
I
chime
believe
in here.
so.
Is this our only movie set in Castle Rock?
I think so, at least in this list, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like
Yeah.
obviously like Stand By Me and all that, but those aren't ones that were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So Needful Things. Yeah, I this is gonna fit into a
Oh,
certain vibe that we
Cujo
have.
is Castle Rock.
Okay, Cujo's in Castle Rock. Okay.
Cool.
Um
That's right.
This has Max von Sydow basically as the devil who opens this Needful Things store. And basically, people come in and they get an object that they've always wanted or is going to mean something to them. But in order to get that object, they have to do something evil to someone else in the town. And it basically
Oof.
creates like the town is going after each other. Everyone has their own thing going after different people, and all those stories interconnect together. Ed Harris plays like the town sheriff. John McClane's wife is like a waitress at the diner. She's the love interest in this.
Okay.
The Dead Zone is in Castle Rock too.
Oh my God, Ken,
we're way off.
You can revoke my king card. I don't know this stuff.
But Needful Things is not. It's not very good. Like it's entertaining. It's watchable. I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. It's not. Sometimes Dead is better. It's a pretty insane movie. Like there's like 3 explosions in this movie. I was not expecting the Stephen King movie to have like literally like 3 buildings blow up or start on fire in it. So I was at least impressed with that. This fits in the same vibe of like Thinners and Sleepwalkers and Maximum Overdrive for me.
Cool.
Where
I mean,
it's
that's
like
probably
this is fun,
like, yeah.
and this
If
is
I'm
like a
thinking about
perfect
how I feel
like
about the book, if the movie's anything like the book, I feel like this is where I would put it too.
yeah. And there's something about that 90s Stephen King movie that just
It's a
has a
little
certain
cozy.
vibe to it. Yeah, it's cozy.
Mhm.
Like that cover for Thinner, if people can see it, maybe I'll zoom in a little more now that our thing is finished.
Yeah.
This cover for Thinner, like the Stephen King's Thinner.
Mhm.
There's a couple other 90s movies that also have that. Like I think the Dead Zone
Graveyard
might have a
Shift
cover.
has one.
Yeah,
Dead
I
Zone
think
has one.
Dead
Silver
Zone
Bullet
does.
even does.
Yeah. And it's like that just has a certain like cozy vibe for it.
Yeah. Ooh, Ken's got a good idea in the comments.
All right, what do we got? Ken says we should do our made for TV, which is Langoliers, It, Rose Red, Storm of the Century, The Stand.
There's a lot of Mick Garris stuff in there.
There's a lot of hours to do that. I've only ever seen
the original Salem's Lot.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I've seen Salem's Lot. I've seen It. I've seen parts of The Stand. I've not watched it all the way through. I own all of these, I think, on VHS too, so it'd be pretty easy to watch.
Hey, and technically, Gerald's Game would fit into that category too.
Why?
Because it's a Netflix original.
That doesn't count. Come on, we're not playing by Academy rules here.
I know.
Yeah,
I just love talking about Mike Flanagan.
that is a great idea, Ken. Whenever we do that, we need to have you on to help us
Yes.
rank the made for TV or TV miniseries.
That would be such a fun episode.
The Shining. Another Mick Garris
with Alex Weber, who is Alex Weber's genuinely a good Jack Torrance. I really like him.
Okay, I've seen that one too. I don't like The Shining. Yeah, so let's go through this list before we wrap things up here. So at the top, tippity top, they all float. The best of the best is The Shining, Pet Sematary, Carrie, Misery, Doctor Sleep. That's a great lineup right there.
Hell yeah.
I'm your number one fan, kind of the second ranking in the tiers.
I'm so happy Silver Bullet's up there with those.
That's the one thing I think I would change on this. I don't know if Silver Bullet this high, but it is. We made it. It's there. Silver Bullet, 1408, Gerald's Game, Christine, The Mist, and Dead Zone. Silver Bullet, I think for me would maybe fall more in line with the rest of these movies here, and everything isn't a sin. Secret Window, Creep Show, Cat's Eye, It, Chapter 1 and 2, Creep Show 2, Cujo, and Children of the Corn.
You know what I think it is? Silver Bullet gets the werewolf bump.
It does.
Yeah.
I think we're shills for werewolves.
Yep.
And we have yet to do a werewolf episode.
Yeah, we should.
Next up, All Work and No Play, a second to last here in our rankings. Maximum Overdrive, Sleepwalkers, Thinner, The Boogeyman, Firestarter, and Needful Things. I think 4 out of those 6 probably fit the more of the so bad it's good vibe. Well, 2 of them are just like,
yeah.
And then last but not least, well, it is least. Sometimes dead is better. Graveyard Shift. So that is our list.
If anyone wants to shout at me about Graveyard Shift, please tell me why I should give this movie another shot. Because I will, because it has Brad Dourif and rats in it. But
please, people out there watching, listening, whichever one you are doing, please let us know how you would rank these 25 King adaptations. Please let us know either in our comments on the post on Facebook or Instagram or X, whatever your ranking is, or in the YouTube comments if you're watching us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or write us a letter. Maybe just write us a book. Maybe write us a book like Stephen King and send it to us.
Yeah. Just text me for my snail mail.
Yeah. All right, Sam, let's wrap this thing up. Thank you all for watching, listening, and participating in our Stephen King tier ranking. Sam, where can the people find our podcast if they would like to re-listen to this episode, maybe, or listen to our back catalog?
Well, you can find us pretty much anywhere you get podcasts, specifically Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. I don't know why I said it weird. My timing's off.
You said it's like Christopher Walken would. You're like, you can find this on Google Podcasts.
Ken said we had a great show. Thanks, Ken.
Hey, thanks, Ken.
Ken,
how is my Christopher Walken impression? Is it okay? Is it They All Float? Is it Sometimes Dead is Better? Let me know.
I'll give you I'm your number one fan.
Okay. I'll take that.
Yeah. All right.
Sam, what's our social medias?
Well, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Just search Screams from the Basement. Our handles are slightly different on just about everything because we have a long name. But
TikTok just seems like an app like Christopher Walken would use all the time. It's TikTok.
He'd edit it to make his voice sound a little bit more not Christopher Walken.
No, he would make it sound more like
it's Tick
Talk.
Okay. Oh my god.
We've been recording for way too long. We've recorded literally over 3 hours of podcasts in 1 hour. Well, we would like to thank everybody for watching, listening. I said, go check out our interviews that have come out, including with writer-director Brooks Davis, whose new film, Bring Her to Me, is out right now on Full Moon Features. And then be on the lookout for next Friday, or the next episode you'll see in this podcast feed or up on our YouTube page, with writer, director, special effects artist Joe Castro and his new movie, Terror Tunes 4.
Yeah.
Sam, do we have anything else before we sign off?
Nope. I think that's it. So everybody,
right.
thanks for tuning in. And
Sweet
sweet
screams.
screams.
Hey, that was pretty good.
It was.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye.
Later, guys.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.